Perfect.
Okay, great. Namaste, everyone. Welcome to Dr. Arjun Pai's channel. Here we are for another edition of the Nakshatra series videos. So here we'll be talking today on Rohini Nakshatra. So, well, it's been some time now that Jupiter will be moving soon into Rohini. I think it was Dr. Aditya Togi's idea that let's actually get into follow the Jupiter's track for the Nakshatra series at least. So at least we'll get some support from Jupiter. So anyway, so now I'll invite Dr. Aditya Togi to start the Nakshatra lecture also on Rohini Nakshatra.
Great. Thank you, Santhip. Thanks, Dr. Pai. Pleasure to meet you. And everyone, welcome to Jupiter's entry in Rohini, correct? I don't know whether it entered or tomorrow it is going to enter, correct?
I think
Yeah,
it
it'll
is
be
already
tomorrow.
entered.
Already
Oh,
entered?
great.
Okay.
Here it is for me. I'm seeing it is already entered. Just
Perfect.
check once again, guys. It might have already entered.
But please give me permission to share the screen.
Yeah, permission given.
Okay. Okay. I hope. Okay. Okay. So did it enter already?
Wait, let me just check again. I was seeing a little earlier. Yes, I think it has entered.
Ah, perfect.
Just about entered because
Yeah, 2 minutes.
pending these 2 minutes. Yeah.
Exactly, 2 minutes entry, yes.
2 minutes. What a timing.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, so we are going to start Rohini and great, awesome. So what is Rohini? Just give me a minute to start. Okay, fine. Yeah. Okay, great. So Rohini Nakshatra, as we know, it's my voice is clear, correct? Everything fine. Okay.
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
So it's in the Taurus sign, all the four padas of the Rohini Nakshatra are in the Taurus sign. And Taurus, as we know, is the second house of it occupies the second house of the Kalpurush chart. What are the second house themes? We know it's wealth, family, resources, the face, how you look, taste. So all these concepts you can think maybe the qualities which are attributed, maybe or Rohini can give a flavor of all these things. So wealth, family, resources, taste, maybe face, support for life, basically. Resources are what? Nothing but support for life. Somehow these qualities are attached to Rohini. What is the symbol of Rohini? The symbol of Rohini is the chariot. Okay. The deity of Rohini is Prajapati. Now, Prajapati later was identified with Brahma. Sometimes it identified as Brahma. So people say that many people say that the Lord of the Rohini Nakshatra is Brahma. And even in this presentation, I may go back and forth with Prajapati and Brahma. Okay. But in some texts, they say that Prajapati is different from Brahma. Okay. So it's like we can take two things at the same time. But what is now the Prajapati is coming from the word Praja plus Pati. Praja means conception or procreative, and Pati means the Lord or the master. So Prajapati, the word literally means the Lord of creatures or master of all beings. Okay. Now, where does this Prajapati come from? How it is different from Brahma? So it's a little bit something on that. In Rig Veda, they say that it is emerged from the golden egg, which is the Hiranyagarbha. And with his initial breath, he created Agni, he created Indra, he created Soma. Agni is the fire god, Indra is the lightning god, Soma is the holy plant. And with his downward breath, he created Asuras. Then, with his hands, created air, and he used it to wipe his tears, they say. And earth was the result of tears that fell into the water, sky was created. So you see, all those things are happening from his own. So he's basically the creator of everything, creator of fire, creator of water, Indra, Soma, Asuras, the wounds of his created seasons, something like that. Okay. But with the time, so Prajapati was there in the ancient Vedas, but later Prajapati's importance was declining and Brahma rose in power. And it said that he made several Prajapatis then. So in different texts, if you go, there are different Prajapatis. Like there are something like 7 Prajapatis, 10 Prajapatis, 16 Prajapatis, 21 Prajapatis. Like in Mahabharata, in Ramayana, in Upanishads, so there are different texts will give different Prajapatis. But we all know there's something called as Daksha Prajapati, which was well known. So Daksh was, I think, out of the 21 Prajapatis or later Prajapatis were created, Daksh was one of those. So I don't know, Prajapati is something which is like Adam and Eve, maybe in the Christian culture, you know, from there everyone came up. So that can be considered as a Prajapati from where everything comes up. So maybe something like that. Okay, so deity of Rohini Nakshatra is Prajapati or Brahma. So one thing is very, so with this thing, out of whatever I was saying from last 2 minutes, you can say that it's a very creative nakshatra. Because the deity itself is a creator of all beings, creator of many things. So maybe this nakshatra has got a lot of creativity aspect in it. Okay. What is the sound of Rohini Nakshatra? There are different padas. So first pada is sounds the letter Charnakshar they call basically. If you go in Panchang and all, it will be a table of Charnakshar. So people who are born in the first pada of Rohini, when the moon is in Rohini, they will be given as a name sound coming from O. Second pada Va, third pada V, fourth pada Vu. So Va, V, Vu, O, these are the letters for the Rohini. Now, why am I saying this? We'll see the importance of this in the later slides. Okay, so these are the sounds of each nakshatra pada in the Rohini nakshatra. Astronomy, how can I leave it? So sun transits dates, like, you know, Rohini Nakshatra is basically expanding from the Taurus 10 degree to Taurus 23 degree 20 minutes. If you see when does the sun transits this period of the zodiac or this section of the zodiac is from May 24th to June 7th. So just now we have finished, the sun has crossed Rohini and now at present the sun is in Mrigashira Nakshatra. Okay, but Jupiter has entered Rohini just now, within few minutes back, in fact. Okay, where is the Rohini Nakshatra seen in the sky? So this constellation is Taurus. Here it is marked by this white color thing, okay? And this constellation is the bull, the Taurus constellation. And the main constellation of Taurus is actually Rohini, which is, in English, it is called as Aldebaran. Aldebaran is this one. And this is like the face of the bull face. And this is the eye of the bull. So the Rohini Nakshatra is nothing but the eye of the bull. Okay, and it's the most brightest star of the Taurus constellation, or it's also said that it is the 14th brightest star in the sky. In the whole sky, it is the 14th brightest star. It's a very bright star. You can see even in the normal from city, you can see the Rohini Nakshatra. I used to see a few months back the Rohini Nakshatra in December and all, you can really see it high up in the sky. Okay, and here it's your Mrigashira, the Orion constellation, which is the topic for next nakshatra coming up. But the Yogatara of Rohini is at exactly Taurus 15 degree, I think 56 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Now, as we know, the vernal equinox, the first point of Aries is basically not a fixed point, it always changes. And now it is coming, it moves backward with time. It was during this period, around 2500 to 3500 BCE, before Christ. That means from now it will be about 5,500 years back, something like that. The vernal equinox was near to the Aldebaran, around 3,000 years back. Average of these two numbers is 3,000 BCE, which is 5,000 years back, something like that. So it is the first point of Aries was in the near the Yogatara of Rohini or Aldebaran. Remember what happened then? It was Lord Krishna was born during that time. And Krishna, everyone knows what was Krishna's nakshatra, Rohini nakshatra. Okay, so Lord Krishna was born when the vernal equinox was near the Yogatara, Rohini Yogatara. Okay. Then I did some nice simulations on the other day. And here it's like it's taken from the stellarium, and you can see this orange line here. You can see this orange line. It's the ecliptic. Ecliptic means the path of the sun. So all our zodiac sign will be on this. You can see this. This is the Taurus constellation. Then this is Gemini. This is Cancer. This is Leo. And then further you go, you may have Virgo coming up. Where is Aries? This is Aries. You can see the ram here, and this is Pisces. And then probably Aquarius is somewhere here, which is already set. But this orange line is the path of the sun or the zodiac. And this, you can see the 0 degree. This is a celestial equator. I hope you can see that number. I don't know whether it's clear or not. But you can see the intersection point of this ecliptic and the celestial equator. That is called as the vernal equinox point. And remember, this I have given time as minus 3000. That means 3000 years before Christ. And you can see that the vernal equinox, and this is the Aldebaran star. You can see that the bull and the eye of the bull, and this star is here. Okay, so very near to Aldebaran. The
So the
vernal
vernal equinox happens when the equator is meeting the ecliptic. Is that right?
exactly. That's the point called as vernal equinox. The intersection point of ecliptic and the celestial equator. Okay. Now what happened right now, after 5,000 years back? This is 2024, 20th March. I just put some date. You see that this is 0 degree, correct? And this is ecliptic, right? Where it is meeting, it is here. It is in the Pisces. That time it was near here. You see this Aldebaran here? Now it is, so that's why the intersection point has gone, move from Taurus to Aries to Pisces now. And slowly it will move into the form of in Aquarius after few years. Okay. Because we know Earth's precision, you know that Earth precises and it takes about 27,000 years. So right now it is in Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra. We know that. Very end of start of Uttara Bhadrapada, end of Purva Bhadrapada. So slowly now it will go into Purva Bhadrapada and then it will move into Aquarius. I just wanted to show that where it is. From here, in this 5,000 years from here, the shift of vernal equinox has come to this point. And it goes, it comes back to the same point after 27,000 years, 26,000 years, something like that. Okay. And right now, and here it is, I was telling that the sun exactly crosses a sun on 30th May, these days, on 30th May of every year, the sun is close to Aldebaran. So that's what I wanted to show. You can see that this is the sky for 30th May 2024. Sun is very close to Aldebaran. So right now, that's why, as I said, from May 24th till June 7th, sun is in the Rohini Nakshatra. And on 30th May, the sun is very close to Yogatara of Rohini. So I just thought I never made a picture analysis. And since I was making this in the class, I said, okay, why not for this time presentation, you know? We have to be very creative, correct? It's Rohini Nakshatra, by the way. So pictures. Okay, now when you see in the sky, now this is very nice phenomena. In fact, this is very helpful. This is Orion constellation is very nice, or you can identify in the sky. And this is the hunter. This is your Aldebaran here. And this is Orion constellation. And this is Canis Major, which is Sirius. So the three belt of Orion is very famous. Everyone talks about it, the pyramids of Giza. And if it is very nice to see that, if you extend these three stars, one side will go to Aldebaran, the other side will go to the Sirius star. Sirius is the brightest star in the night sky. So you cannot miss that star, the brightest star in the night sky. After planets, I'm not talking about planets. Venus and Jupiter will be brighter, but Sirius is the brightest star in the night sky. And it's like all this line is linear. Now, why am I showing this picture is, we all know the story of, now who is the deity of Rohini? I mentioned it is Prajapati, Brahma. Vyad, sometimes this is called, Sirius is called as Vyad in Vyad or Vyagra, Vyad, I guess. It is called as a Shiva, and then Shiva is shooting an arrow, and that arrow is exactly goes here and hits Aldebaran. That's a famous story which we know. Remember the story of how Shiva took off one of the head of Brahma, you know, when Brahma was basically, I think there's this story when he made Saraswati, correct? And then he was chasing, and then every god came and said that that's not an improper act. They came to Shiva. Shiva took the form of Rudra, and Rudra, we know, chopped one of the head. Okay, so it looks like this. Shiva is taking an arrow. Now, remember, Orion is like an arrow, hitting that arrow, and directly it is going towards the Rohini Nakshatra. So the whole mythology story is basically seen in the sky. So whenever I see this, and it's a very, very bright stars and all, it's very easy to see and very easy to locate. See, this is how you learn actually astronomy. Like when you go outside and study about stars, everything is new. You don't know where to start with. So take a constellation, and for me, I took the constellation of Orion because very easily identifiable. And from there, you start to explore. Okay, take the 3 stars, go forward. You will meet Rohini, red star. Go to the other side, you will meet another bright star, that is Sirius. And from there, this angle you go. Like from then you come to know about different, from that's like a marker. And then from there you learn about different skies. And as time passes, you become well versed with the sky. And that's how I did, in fact, through Orion. When I first started as a teenager, I first identified Orion, and from then things started to, oh, okay, this makes sense. Orion is very easy. Scorpio is also very easy constellation to identify. So start with that, and then that's how you do the sky watch programs and all, and then daily practice makes you, it becomes then easy, But the whole mythology story is basically hidden in this. You can see that drama depicted in the sky. So I thought it's very famous. Or it's not very, very,
This is
very.
actually very interesting also. I was seeing now that you mentioned, like, of course, Shiva takes Brahma's head is the story.
Mhm.
But one interesting thing is that there's also almost famous story about Shiva taking, like, the Tripura, right? The 3 cities are kind of defeated also. You can see that also here right now. The 3 stars in the belt of Orion and under. Very, very interesting to think about from that perspective also.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Now, as I said, Rohini, what is that? It's the eye of the bull. The bull, what is bull? No, bull is what? See, the bull was considered as a symbol of wealth, finance, and resources. Back like in ancient India, what was bull considered, like people who has bull or cows and all, they were like considered as very rich. So that was a status symbol. That was something which you can estimate your wealth, finance, and all. And of course, if you have a lot of bull, means farming and all is good for you, and then you get more money, something like that. And we know that this bull is standing right at the Wall Street, correct? So it's a symbol of wealth, finance, and resources. So very much associated with Rohini Nakshatra. And Rohini itself is like the eye of the bull. Because you saw that Kritika and I was showing this. Kritika is this, Pleiades. Rohini is this bull. And the next nakshatra is Mrigashira. Mrigashira is Orion, of course, which next time topic. So this is Mrigashira. So Rohini is actual bull, actually, a symbol of wealth and all. Okay. Now, as I said, Daksha Yagna, let's talk about Daksha was one of the Prajapati, and he had, we all know the story of how Sati immolated herself. Maybe people who don't know, maybe I'll say in short. So Sati is the wife of Lord Shiva, and Daksha had an what you can say was a sacrificial ceremony, where he invited everyone, but not Shiva and not Sati. But Sati still did visit to her father's place for the ceremony. And then Daksha was not happy with it, and Daksha basically insulted Shiva and all. And hearing that, Sati was not happy, and she immolated herself in the fire. And that's the story. And then, the Veerbhadra came, and Kali, the goddess Kali, appeared, and then they destroyed everything. And they even chopped off the head of Daksha. And then Laksha was replaced by a head of a goat, correct? That's a story. Why am I saying this story? Now, that's very much What are the themes you learn? With this story, what is the theme you learn? So you know the story. What can you understand from this? Daksha is a Prajapati. You can think of deity of Rohini. So what Rohini native should be careful of? So these are the points you have to learn. So the Rohini natives need to be careful with their behavior, or else their head will be chopped off. When I say head will be chopped off, nothing, no one is coming and cutting your head, but at least that will be the result of their downfall. So you can say that be careful with your son-in-laws. That's one theme that comes up. Respect everyone. That's the other thing that comes up. And if you don't do that, probably you will have a downfall. So need to be careful with their actions. That's one theme is coming up with that, especially with your son-in-law or daughter-in-law or something like that. Okay. So I will come to it. What are the things to learn from Rohini Nakshatra? But since I'm like a textbook person here, what are the characteristics of Rohini? Now remember, it's a star of ascent, to grow, basically. Power of this nakshatra is to make things grow and create. Again, creativity coming into picture. Basis above plant, basis below water. Desire is to attract a lover and unite with them. Now, this is very interesting. I don't know with this sentence if you are able to recollect any story, but if not, that's okay, because that story I will be talking about it later. To attract a lover and unite with them. There is a mythology story where a woman was really attracted to her husband, that even Yama failed, basically. Now, did you get the hint? Anyone?
Yeah, I think Savitri, right?
Avitri Satyavan story. Yes, it is related to this. We will talk about it later when I come to it. Shakti of this nakshatra is Rohana Shakti, power to make things grow and create. Result of Shakti, basis and desire, creation. Okay. Okay, anyway. Now, the star of ascent, I said. Do you know of India's first satellite? What was the name of the first satellite of India?
Yeah, Aryabhatta or something, right?
Aryabhatta is the first satellite of India. True. Purposely, I did not give the name. But what was the first sounding rocket of India?
Brahma or Rohini or something.
It is Rohini.
Okay, interesting.
The first sounding rocket was made basically Rohini. It was RH-75. RH stands for Rohini. Rohini 75, Rohini 100, Rohini, all those things. So that was the first truly Indian sounding rocket. It was in 1967 when it was done from Tumba, from our Trivandrum. Launch. And at that time, chairman of father of Indian space program is Vikram Sarabhai. He was the AEC chairman. He was but at that time there was no position in ISRO, but he was the first chairperson of ISRO. And then after that, MGK Menon came. But remember, Vikram, the word Vikram, again starting with V, and he was, and at that time, he's also called as father of Indian space program, and he also, I think he died very young too. Okay, but Rohini, the star of ascent, that was the first Indian sounding rocket, not satellite, sounding rockets. Okay, so Aryabhatta was in 1975. This is in 1967. Before that too, it was very initial stages of space program. Rohini themes, Purushartha is Moksha, Manushyagana, Brahma Trimurti, animal is male serpent, and bird is white owl. Okay. What is the tree of Rohini Nakshatra? Jamun, or the Java plum tree. And Jamun, Jamun is very famous for what? Diarrhea, dysentery, stomach ulcers you could treat. Everyone knows jamun for reducing the blood sugar. They always say that sometimes you take the seeds of jamun and then you crush it, and that powder can be used for type 2 diabetes and all. Diabetes, sugar issues. Now, sugar is what? Again, venous related, or maybe, yeah, sugar is venous related. And digestion and digestive disorders can be improved. It has got antimicrobial properties. It's also, they say that it's good for your brain health. Okay. Most of things, if you see, it has got like digestive disorders, blood sugar, dysentery, stomach ulcer, again related to some food habits. So again, because again, second house is what? Food. So that's maybe some connection is there, I guess. But jamun, everyone knows, is very good for diabetes. That's like, I think most of the Indians know that. The planetary rulers, like as I said, Rohini, 4 padas. The first pada is basically in D9. If you go, there comes Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer. The Rashi Lord, if everything falls into Taurus, so the Rashi is Lord is Venus. Moon, Rohini is the Nakshatra Lord is Moon. So Moon. The first lord is air. The first pada is Aries, so it is Mars. The second pada is Taurus, so it's Venus. Third pada is Gemini, so its lord is Mercury, and Cancer is becomes the fourth. So Moon. So if you see these planets here, you see a lot of Venus Moon energy coming into the picture. Moon is for mind, mental health. Venus again. What is Venus? Wealth, resources, finance, and at the same time knowledge also. Okay, Venus is what? Shukracharya. So don't think that it is only finance and wealth. It's also for knowledge. Okay, so these are the qualities. So again, when you combine these things with this, what you get? Creativity comes up. Wealth, resource, finance, and knowledge connected with your mind, mental health, ideas come up. Creativity ideas comes up. Especially, I have seen second pada and third pada. Now there's a special point here. Second pada. Second pada is basically it's a very special pada because that pada is even Vargottama. It's Pushkara Navamsha and Pushkara Bhaga. I don't think any other pada in astrology gets all the three, if I'm not wrong. I don't know. Maybe you may get Vargottama, Pushkara Navamsha, may Pushkara Bhaga, but all this pada has got all the three. The second pada. Okay. Second pada will range from 13 degree 20 of Taurus to 16 degree of 40. Okay. Which is this Venus, Moon, Venus. Okay. I'm not saying these two padas are not that important. But definitely second pada is really very significant. Even third pada is, I've seen, somehow some special skills you will have. Some of my professors and all, they are no more now. Even they had this, especially Venus and all was there, I guess. And he was well known. Okay. Anyway, I will talk when it comes to some charts and all when I discuss later. The animal is the male serpent. Now, male serpent, again, serpent, when you see, the Rohini Nakshatra is what? As I said, face. Serpent. Now, what is the characteristic of a serpent? Its eyes is very, very, what is mesmerizing or very, so especially Rohini natives, if you see, their eyes will be very, somehow their eyes are like magnetically very attractive and all. Okay. And characteristics of male serpent and all, you can see them in them too. Now, there's another story of Rohini occultation. Again, basically, we have done a video on this whole video on Dr. Pai's channel, maybe a year or 2 years back. Occultation is nothing but something when the moon basically occults a star or a planet. Occults means when you're seeing that star or planet, the moon comes in between you and that star. So they say that out of all the nakshatras, the moon is basically occulting Aldebaran many number of times. Okay. There's a detailed video which we did. People can go here and watch those. We did a long time back. How many, with all the scientific data and all, we have done that and then explained about those. So out of all the 27 nakshatras, it is basically this Aldebaran nakshatra or the Rohini nakshatra is always occulted by moon. So in mythology story 2, they call Rohini as the most dear wife of Chandra. Okay. Chandra has all the 27 wives, and these 27 wives are nothing but again Daksha's daughters. Okay, all nakshatras, Ashwini, Bharani, Kritika, and all those. It is said that Chandra likes Rohini a lot. I don't know whether they were looking at this occultation and then they made a story or what it is. Okay, but the scientific observed phenomena is moon occults Rohini a lot. Now, what happened with this? So the other daughters were not happy, correct? Of course, if husband is loving one wife more, then other wives will not be happy. They went and complained to Daksha, and Daksha was basically not happy with it, and he cursed Chandra. He cursed Chandra that he will wax and wane each month. So you again see the problems with Daksha, again having issues with son-in-law. Okay, so maybe, I don't know, I have not done this analysis. Maybe Rohini Nakshatra natives have a problem with their son-in-laws or daughter-in-laws, need to be checked. That's one thing that is there. And then it was basically Jeshtha who went and complained to Daksha. Okay. Now remember, where you have Rohini, exactly 180-degree opposite is Jeshtha Nakshatra. You have Rohini at 15 degree 56 minutes in Taurus, exactly opposite to that, 15 degree 55 minutes or something, very same degree, same minute. In fact, you have Jeshtha, which is Antares. That is also red star. This is also red star. Okay, both are red color stars and both are very bright stars. Sometimes Antares is called as a Rohini of the south because it is in the southern part of the celestial equator. Okay. So anyway, so maybe this occultation phenomena, and somehow it's Rohini is Chandrapriya, the famous wife of Rohini, but that's what it is. But again, you can see from the story what is the theme that you take. Jealousy can be a problem for Rohini natives. Okay, they may be very good looking, and because Taurus constellation, it's a Venus nakshatra and all those, moon, Venus. What else you need for beauty? So jealousy themes can come up. When you have beauty, you will have jealousy. So jealousy themes can come. Problems with father can maybe they're associated with that. Issues with that, maybe husband may be having a problem. Rohini's husband Chandra had a problem. So so those things easily can come up, especially with their fathers. So maybe Rohini females with the fathers and their husband can be an issue, basically playing the role of Rohini Nakshatra. So those things can come up. Now this guy, if you see, coming to people who have an important Rohini Nakshatra, so I was looking, what is this Rohini? Maybe then I thought, it was suddenly that came to my mind, maybe Rohini is what? Plants, water, growth, and all this. So maybe, are there any people who work in this field? They may have a strong Rohini. So I was just looking this guy who made the modern greenhouse. Because what is greenhouse? You basically create an environment there, and then you put plants there, and the plants grow. So it's like growing theme. So maybe, and maybe let's see who made that. Question just came into my mind when I was making the slides. Who made the first greenhouse? And then this name, I never knew who this guy was. Charles Lucien Bonaparte, of course, French name. And then I said, okay, let's see whether is there any Rohini theme in his chart. And then, of course, time I don't know. So if I don't know the time, I just put 10 a.m. Okay. And then this guy had a sun in Rohini. Makes sense. Of course, the sun in Rohini will not change. Moon and Lagna, we don't know. Exact position of moon, we don't know. Exact position of Lagna, we may not know. But definitely, sun will not change. The sun is in Rohini. Okay, he was the one who made the greenhouse. So you see that sun is what? Life. So, and greenhouse, growth, played the role of Rohini in his chart. Rohini connected with Venus and Moon. As I said, they are very creative people, correct? Creative. Venus is what? Venus is music. Moon, mind, creativeness. And he has got Sun and Venus both in Rohini. Bob Dylan. Famous. Everyone knows him. I did not say. Again, Sun in Rohini here. JFK. Somehow people like this Rohini natives a lot, this charm and all those things. And they are remembered, especially if you are and you see the pada also. It's the same second pada, 15 degree, 8 minutes. So it's the second pada. It's a Vargottama pada, as well as Pushkara, Navamsha, Pushkara, Bhaga, everything. And sun is there. John F. Kennedy, even I think how many years he has been passed? 60 years. People still remember him, one of the famous president in the history of United States of America. Very well known. And he played the role of Rohini. Okay. Sun is what? Government. Sun is what? Administration, managing, and all those. Okay. Stephen Hawking, I don't want to put his picture. Everyone, what is there? Jupiter in Rohini. Remember, it's third pada. What is that? Venus, Moon, Mercury, correct? That was the planet. Venus is the Rashi sign, Moon is the Nakshatra sign, Mercury is the pada sign. Stephen Hawking, live did calculations and all those things. And somehow, and Jupiter, what is Jupiter? Who is Jupiter? Jupiter is a guru, Jupiter is a teacher, Jupiter is counselor, and all those. Exactly. Played the
I
role
think he
of.
was involved in black hole or something, right?
Yeah,
Is that right?
yeah, a brief history of time, the book.
Yeah.
Knowledge is coming up. He was like a Jagat Guru on on basically black holes and other theory. So Jupiter is playing the role of Rohini. Okay. Honda company, because what is Rohini? What is the symbol of Rohini Nakshatra?
Bull,
Car,
right?
chariot,
Oh, yeah.
car.
Interesting.
So some Rohini Nakshatra will like about car and all. Now, which car company? So there should be many car companies. Let's see. Now, I have a list of car companies, basically somehow playing with Rohini. So it was on this day this Honda company was found. Of course, I don't know the time, but the date was given. So and the city was given. And where is the Rohini? Moon was in Rohini, Honda company. Honda is known everywhere. What else you can think of? This is a puzzle. Which companies can you think of?
I think the bull,
Hmm?
Lamborghini.
I was thinking Lamborghini, but in this whole research, a lot of Mrigashira themes came up. So Lamborghini, I thought because it was a bull, it was a car company, so I was just trying to do that, but I did not get that. But in many cases, Mrigashira was also coming up. A lot of Mrigashira themes. But remember, something starting with the sound names. I said pay attention to the sounds. Any sound name with
I
company
think
name with V.
Volkswagen or some.
Exactly. Oh, I have that Volkswagen. It's coming. Volkswagen B. And what is there in Rohini here? Ketu and Sun.
Volkswagen is a Vo, the Mrigashira. So, but I think it will still activate. V sound will activate Rohini also. That's right.
It's many things got intermingled, which I saw in Rohini and Mrigashira. It's like another pair of Dvandva Nakshatra or something coming up. I don't know.
It does have that Va sound is also there. Volkswagen is also there. So Wagon sound is there. Definitely Wagoner and all that, right? That can make sense.
Right. So yeah, definitely Volkswagen. And even this I had, even GM Motors. Okay, GM Motors, you have a Moon, basically. I don't know where it went. 21°47'. Maybe I should put it here so that you. Okay, makes sense. So a lot of companies, there are many other companies, of course, but I got Honda, I got GM, I got Volkswagen, and there was other list of companies which I tried. There are many other too. I did not try it for everything, to be frank, but still I got so many, and these are all big name companies: GM Motors, Honda, Volkswagen, and all. Okay, so we did discuss about Volkswagen. Now, what are the festivals that we celebrate during this time? Because Sun, not Taurus 10° to 23:20, so May 24th to June 7th. I told you about the Savitri Satyavan story, and Vata Savitri Vrat. I don't know. I think in India it is very well known, where it is celebrated on the full moon day in the month of June. Okay. Now, what is full moon day in the month of June is nothing but Jyeshtha Nakshatra. So moon is in the Jyeshtha, sun is in the Rohini. Now, due to some back and forth in the timing, you can have sun in Rohini, sun in Mrigashira can happen. But definitely moon will be in Jyeshtha, exactly opposite. So it has to be a full moon day. Now, what is the story of Savitri and Satyavan? People who may not know, this Satyavan, Savitri was also a king's daughter, basically. And then she married to this Satyavan guy who was, I think he was a king, but they lost land, but he was very poor. In fact, that was the thing. And he used to live in a forest. And the thing was, Satyavan was supposed to die early. And on the day of his death, Satyavan had gone to cut some firewood and all, and then he died, basically. And when he died, it was Savitri, he died on Savitri's lap. And then Savitri took the body of Satyavan, it seems. And then after some time, Yama came to take away the soul. And the Savitri was behind Yama. And she was saying, okay, I will follow wherever my husband goes. And Yama says that, no, you can't follow because it's not your time of death. But she did not leave. And she tricked Yama by asking her boon. So Yama also said, okay, you can ask some other boon. And Yama said that I will give you other boons, but don't ask for Satyavan's life. So then she asked, first my father should get whatever the kingdom he lost. That was granted. Then she asked he should get his eyesight too. That was granted. And then finally she said that may you grant me that I will have many children. And that also was granted. And then she said, how can I get children? Because you are taking life of Satyavan. And then seeing the wit of Savitri, I think Yama gave back life of Satyavan, something like that. But the whole story, you see, what is the power of Rohini to attract? We saw the desire of Rohini is to attract a lover and unite with them. Savitri never left Satyavan. Okay, so that power of Rohini, you can see, even Yama has to subside. Now, wherever Rohini is, you know what is the where Yama comes. Yama is the lord of what? Yama is the lord of Bharni Nakshatra. So Bharni Nakshatra will be in the 12th house compared to Rohini. Okay, so Rohini, it's like 212 thing, rift between Brahma and Rohini, basically themes coming up there. Okay, so anyway, with this whole story, it is like to attract a lover and unite with them. Now this year, this Vata Savitri Vrat is happening on 21st June. This is exactly on summer solstice day. Today is what? Today is 12th, correct? So maybe after 9 days, you will have this back. And during this time, I think, especially in Maharashtra area, the women, they take a thread and then they circumambulate the banyan tree. Okay. And that's what they do. Okay, but that's the story, very much in align with the Rohini themes. I did not say this Janmashtami. As I said, Krishna was born in the Rohini Nakshatra. Sun in Leo, moon in Rohini. Okay, and Krishna's Nakshatra is is Rohini. And with Krishna's life, Krishna's Nakshatra is Rohini. So if you have Rohini Nakshatra, your lives will be similar to Krishna. And don't think that Krishna was God and everything was so easy. His life was havoc. Okay. Of course, a lot of gopis with him. That's one positive thing. Okay, so you can say that Rohini people will have a lot of friends from the opposite sex, so they are good in that way. It's a positive point. But remember, jealousy issues, father issues, husband issues. You have many other issues too. Okay. Vaishak Purnima, that also happens during when the sun is transiting the Rohini nakshatras. Okay. So I said moon has to be, because Vishak Purnima, sun is in Rohini, and that means moon will be in Vishakha or opposite. Okay. So sun will be in Rohini and it has to be Purnima. So sometimes Vishakha or Vaishak Purnima, or the Lord Buddha's birthday, or the Buddha's birthday and Buddha's enlightenment is the same day. So that was moon has to be in Vishakha or Jyeshtha, this part. Vishakha, Anuradha, Jyeshtha, something like that. It depends upon where the sun is. Okay. For knowledge too. He gave knowledge, basically. So now there is something which is Rohini Nakshatra and related to wars. I was seeing that, and it is very famous, even in the text, it is Rohini Shakata Veda, where they say that when Saturn and Mars brings disaster, it seems. Whenever Saturn and Mars crosses this nakshatra, especially if Saturn crosses or Mars crosses, or Saturn and Mars, if they both cross, then it brings a big disaster. That's what written in Brihat Samhita, Graha Laghav and all. I was saying, forget about Saturn and Mars both crossing. What happened when Saturn was just crossing Rohini? So I was just taking the dates. So Saturn crossed Rohini around this time, and 9/11 happened. Saturn was at 21 degree of Taurus. Then I said, then repeated pattern should happen, correct? After every 29.5 years, that's the period of Saturn. Then I just went 30 years back, about 30 years back. 20th November 1971, Saturn was retrograde at Taurus 10 degree, just entered Rohini. What is this period? This is the onset of.
The Gulf War or something?
No, it is
I
the
don't know.
it's the onset
The
of
Indian thing, right? The
Yeah.
Pak thing? Yeah.
Bangladesh War.
Oh, Bangladesh, okay, yeah.
Bangladesh War. Gulf War was in 91. I think
Yeah, that's right, yeah. 91.
Yeah. This is 71. Then another 30 years back, second half of 1942, of course, World War II. War was everywhere, in fact. 30 years back, 1913, 1912, around that, Balkans War. That was happening. 1883, 1884, another 30 years back. So it's like how many? 30, 60, 90, around 120 years back. Sino-French War was happening during this time. Now, if you add 29 to this, I'm not saying anything, you analyze what is going to happen. Many people are saying World War III and all, but
When is the future? When is the 29 thing happening?
that will be in 2030 around.
2030, right? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, that's right.
I don't want to say anything. I'm not predicting that something, but some pattern is seeing from last 120, 150 years. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. And some people are predicting that there is going to be World War III this end of this decade. Maybe probably Saturn is coming in.
I think it's already at war, right? The Russia, Ukraine, and all that. So,
I don't, maybe much bigger war, maybe. Who knows?
yeah.
Anyway,
India,
nothing too afraid. Yeah.
right.
Eat laddus, be happy, have some Java plum. No worries. Anyway,
Yeah.
so why I was talking about wars? Because I was saying, because we had this holiday in Memorial Day in US, correct? When is Memorial Day celebrated? It's basically to not celebrated, but it's a day of mourning, basically, and remembering the soldiers who had given up their life. And that is in their memory. And that is celebrated on the last Monday of May month. Last Monday. Now, last Monday means it can be anywhere. It changes 25 to 31st May, depending when Monday falls. Okay. And during this period, what happens? Sun is transiting Rohini. Memorial, war. Again, themes related to war, So Rohini characteristics, if you say, overall, what is that? It's a very creative nakshatra that can be interested in music like Bob Dylan and all, designing and all those things. Not just music, but it can be also be. We have Stephen Hawking. We have all those car things. Okay. Charming personality, of course, Moon and Venus themes will be there. So they have charming personality, male serpent. So eyes are very attractive. We'll heard the story of Daksha with what happened with in Daksha Yagna and what happened with Chandra, issues with relatives, ego issues can cause their own downfall, so they can also be cause for fights. You see what happened to Rohini, the wife of Chandra, got into fight with Jeshta, and then problems happened, and the husband has to suffer. Wife's creating problem, husband has to suffer. So, so they may be cause for fight. See, when you say Rohini, jealousy and all, what is that jealousy? Jealousy brings the cause for the fights. So that can be there. Issues with daughter-in-law, son-in-law can happen. So people need to be careful. Do not unnecessarily do not go into those. Car lovers, because the symbol itself is car, and they can be very good. I something is coming in my mind where I saw this chart of one person who has got Jupiter in Rohini, not Stephen Hawking, someone else. I was just analyzing chart. And I just asked him, what do you do? And he was basically Jupiter in Rohini. Jupiter is like teacher. Rohini is about wealth. So he was a tax consultant or something like that. CA, tax consultant. So he's giving advice, he's counseling. In what field? In themes of money, finance, and all. So this is another CA or tax related or those things. You can be a good teacher in. If you have Jupiter, of course, if you have Mercury, things will be different. I have also seen some great scientist, as I said, who was my professor. He had Venus in second pada of Rohini, I remember. Venus, so it's not just, he was not a designer or something, he was an astrophysicist. But, Venus is also knowledge. So just don't think Venus may be only music and all, like Bob Dylan, but it can also be a knowledge. Okay. So that's why I always say, look Lagna. Whenever you do some consultation for career and all, I always pay attention to Lagna as well as the 10th house and other things too. Lagna is where your interest is. Now, I don't remember my professor's Lagna, what he also doesn't know the timing. And I never got that, but think about Lagna. Maybe it may be very Gemini Lagna or Virgo Lagna or something like that. So, which is very analytical mind with Venus in Rohini. So, what will happen? Knowledge will come out. Okay. And connected to plant animal growth. So they can be good botanist. also. So Rohini people can be good, some creativity thoughts, music industries, can be good teachers and knowledge wise, can be botanists and all, because growth of plants and animals. So those things, those themes or those careers may be very suitable for Rohini natives. Okay. Okay. So that's what I have. Okay, there's one more thing which I just thought. I was just doing this. I know whether have you heard about this news? You know, this is not with respect to Rohini as such, but since snakes things came up, recently they found a very huge fossil of a big huge snake in Kutch region, and that came in this paper. It was just last month news, 2 months back news. You know, and that now they have referred that snake as Vasuki indicus. Vasuki, well, it's a snake based on, Vasuki is the snake which is there on Shiva's neck. And that was the same snake used to churn the ocean, if you remember. So, and it was found in the desert regions of Kutch. Since it was found in India, they named as Vasuki indicus, basically coming from the India. And there are some details. It's on paper is available. You can go and read. It is about 11 to 15 meters in length, and it's not now. It's from the ancient time of 47 million years back. But I was thinking, why in India it is called? India is always called land of what? Land of snake charmers and all. Now, yes, it is. We have got the biggest fossil now for the snake. And I was thinking, why India got this? India has got what? Ashlesha. Ashlesha, the deity is what? Serpents. So definitely, I think they should have taken the help of Jyotish probably to find, okay, Ashlesha means we should find some snake themes here. And this was very recent thing. It was very well known in very various articles and news. I don't know if you have heard this. Did you people hear about this?
No,
No?
I don't.
Yeah, it was a famous news. So I just thought again to relate astrology with what people find, and that was interesting to see, actually. Let's see. This is my normal tabulation going on. So I want to fill here how much time today. But I think that's all I have for Rohini.
No, this was great, Aditya. So, Dr. Pai, would you like to add any comments on what Aditya shared?
Yeah, I think Aditya has given us a very good head start with Rohini Nakshatra. Let me start by a small words for Lord Ganapati, which is very appropriate for this nakshatra. The verse is Gajananam Bhutaganadi Sevitam Kapita Jambufala Sara Bhakshitam Umasutam Shoka Vinasha Karanam Namami Vigneshwara Pada Pankajam. Now, what this this small sloka refers to is I salute Sri Gajanana, who's having an elephant's face, who is served by the Bhutaganas. Bhutaganas are the celestial attendants of Lord Rudra. They are called as Rudra Ganas as well. Who eats the core of Kapita. Kapita means wood apple, or it is also called as Belafal, which means Bilva leaf, Bilva plant, the fruits. And wood apple is very favorite for elephants. And Jambu Phala Bhakshitam. Jambu, which means a rose apple. This is what Aditya has mentioned about Java plum, who's the son of Uma Devi, and who is the cause of destruction of sorrows. I prostrate at the lotus feet of Vigneshwara, the god who removes obstacles. This is the literal meaning of this sloka. Now, it's very interesting that this sloka itself has embedded the importance of Kapita, which is wood apple, and Jambuvala. Now, if you are part of the celebrations that happen during Ganesh Chaturthi, we know that Ganapati is always offered so many sweets, especially modaka, sweets, Aditya, like he says, laddus, so many things. When you're having a lot of sweets, what happens? Your blood sugar increases. And those people who are diabetic, with their glucose management, that will go for a toss. So by taking Kapita and Jambuvala will help you in reducing the sugar and control your sugar levels in the body. So this, shloka itself is embedding the benefits of sugary intake and how you can control it diabetically. Or,
What is
people,
Kapita?
Kapita means wood apple.
Wood apple. Okay, wood apple. Okay.
So even elephants eat this. Okay, why? Because they eat a lot of huge amounts of food, and so they need also to control. So this is a reference to the sloka itself, shows that there is an importance given to management of sugar. That's one thing. The second thing, which was very interesting of the most recent times, is the launch of Chandrayaan-3, which was the mission which had the Vikram lunar lander and the Pragyan lunar rover, which was launched from Satish Dhawan Space Center in Sriharikota in Andhra Pradesh. And it happened on 14th of July 2023 at 2:35 p.m. Indian Standard Time. If you go and look at this time, the launch happened when moon was transiting in Rohini Nakshatra. And I have made a post of this also. If you can go and see, a day before the launch, I had predicted that, Rohini means Rohana Shakti, as Aditya has mentioned. What does it mean by Rohana? Rohana means to rise, to grow, to prosper, to elevate, upward growth and journey, right? So it is a nakshatra which I said is very cordial and good for launch of the satellites. So fingers crossed, I said, I think this should be a successful launch. Yes, it had a successful launch, but the bigger thing was not of the launch, was the soft landing. Anyway, but I wanted to say that the importance of Rohini was definitely taken into consideration when they wanted to launch the lunar mission of Chandrayaan. The other two, the preceding ones have not been successful. So the word comes from ro, which means the reddish one also. So it means, Rohana also gives you a roving eye. It can make you very robust. It can also, give growth, which is upward, like plants grow, everything grows. So it shows Rohini itself means fertility, warmth, passion, and abundance. Now, besides that also, a very interesting thing that you can see is Rohini is the name. If you look at the reference to Rohini, the word Rohini is the calf. It is the red cow. It is also the daughter of Daksha Prajapati. Okay, and also Surabhi. Surabhi means the mother of all cows is Kamadhenu, the wish granting cow. So that is why there is a connection with the reddish cow, which is the wish granting Kamadhenu, and also the daughter of Dakshas. Now, as Aditya rightfully mentioned, that many of the scriptures don't talk about Brahma; they talk about Prajapati being the associated presiding deity of this nakshatra. Now, Brahma definitely is called as Dadaji also, because he's white beard, which is always shown. You don't see Brahma being shown as youthful. Have you seen any picture where Brahma is shown youthful? He's always with the white hair, long beard. You can see Vishnu and Shiva being shown as youthful, but Brahma is never shown that he is young. He's always shown as a grandfather-like person. Now, he had 10 mind-born sons, which are called as Prajapatis.
And it is opposite. They say that Brahma came from Vishnu. So Vishnu should have been the older.
Exactly. But Vishnu is never aging.
Yeah.
He is always like youthful. Even though they say Brahma was born from a lotus which blossomed from the navel of Vishnu. So what is the navel? Navel is in the human body. It is probably decides the mid part of the human body, which means that if you cut at the navel, you can probably see these are equal halves, above and below. Okay, so now one very important thing that I wanted to point about this is Prajapati. There are 10 Prajapatis, main-born sons. 7 of them are the Arsha Major, which is the Saptarishis Mandala. So their order is Marichi, then Vasishtha, Atri, Angirasa, Pulaha, Pulatsya, Pulaha, Kratu. These are 7 plus 3. Who are those 3? Daksha Prajapati. What Daksha means? Ritual skill. Then we have Bhrigu Rishi, and then we have Narad Rishi. So totally there are 10 of them. So it is the power of these 10, divine creators, which is vested within this nakshatra of Rohini. Okay, the 10. So the number 10 becomes very important for Rohini Nakshatra. Just like we have the 10 directional gods or lords, or which are called as Lokapalas or Dikpalas as well. So the 8 directions plus the zenith and the nadir. Okay, so totally 10 directions. So they also have a connection with this Rohini Nakshatra. Now, the other interesting point I wanted to make with this nakshatra is, look at the order of the nakshatra. So the order of the nakshatra is quite interesting. So if you think, we start with the Ashwini nakshatra, let us say from the Ashwinadi system, which is the starting point. So Ashwini is all about the fastest one to reach the destination, who makes the first reach. And we know that for all our creation to happen, it was the sperm from our father, and the fastest sperm which went and met with the egg of our mother created us. So the fastest sperm amongst all the millions of sperms which are trying to reach the final destination, the fastest. And you know what is the reward for the fastest sperm to reach the egg? The reward is cutting of the head, which means the head of the sperm has all the genetical information. The tail of the sperm is only for maneuvering and for floating and reaching, right? So as soon as the first sperm enters the egg, what happens? Immediately the egg, shuts down its door like a system, cuts off the head, and the tail is left out. The head is cut. That's why Ashwini is the head of the horse, the fastest means of transport.
The Rahu Ketu story is going there.
Exactly. So the head is kept, the tail is out. So that is the whole process. So the same thing was also a kind of a yagna which was celebrated, which was called as a Rajasuya yagna. It's called Ashwamedha yagna. Ashwamedha, where the horse sacrifice. Many of them have said this is not a horse sacrifice. Whatever is it, because there is a lot of interpolations that I've had. Medha also means the fat of the Medha, means Medha Dhatu is fat. Medha also means intellect. Ashwamedha means the intellect of the horse. So the horse was left for 1 year. Okay, now coming back. After what happens? After it is cut. Now it has merged inside. The genetic code is inside. So Bharani is the multiplier. So with one cell, it starts multiplying and quickly multiplies to become multi-cell. And it becomes a fetus, and then it becomes a child. So that is the whole thing about the 9 months. It is there in the womb. That's Bharani. It's the womb, plus it's the multiplier effect. It is growing from one cell to multicellular organism. And then Kritika Nakshatra is the cutting of the umbilical cord when the birth is happening. Isn't it? It's the knife, it's the blade, it is cutting. So the water flows, apa, which means water from the umbilical fluids, apa bharani, it's flowing out when you cut. And once it floats, the child has happened. And usually what happens after the child has been, cleaned and everything after the childbirth, the child is either placed in the arms of the mother for nurturing, or it is kept in the cradle. This is the cradle. Rohini Nakshatra is the cradle. Krishna Janmashtami, when we celebrate, do we celebrate Krishna as a complete human being during Janmashtami? We put him on a cradle like a baby Krishna. That is Rohini Nakshatra. So one of the symbologies of Rohini is the cradle. Later on, it became the chariot. Why? Because Sri Krishna is a charioteer. He's a Sarathi, he's a Rath, he's the one who is a driver. So if you think esoterically also, that is the significance of Rohini. What is the significance of Rohini? Because Krishna, he could become part of the war and he could use weapons, but he said, no, I'm just going to be in the war like a charioteer and I'm not going to take any weapons. So when he's not going to take any weapons, Duryodhan thought he's of no use. He's not going to fight. But he didn't understand the importance of Krishna. Whichever side Krishna is, that side is a victory anyway, because you have God on your side. He might not have any weapons. So Arjuna symbolically is the Atma. Like everybody is an Atma, a soul. He's a passenger. Who is the driver? Krishna is the driver. What is it? The 5 horses which are yoked, which is the Pancha Jnanendriyas, your sense organs, and Karmendriyas. Krishna is the doer. He said, just do your karmas. The rest of the things you give it to me. That is Rohini's importance. So he is the consciousness. So Rohini can become your consciousness. Rohini can become you are on the driver's seat. You have to drive. See, the same concept of Ratha comes very much in many of the symbology with Sri Krishna as well. Okay, see, Sri Krishna had also kidnapped or eloped with the Rukmini on the chariot. Again, that is another chariot. He became the charioteer of Arjuna. So many things that you see, is connected to Krishna and the chariot. And that is why you can see this is like what Aditya was saying, Aldabran. Aldabran is more of a Persian name. Okay. Now, interestingly, when he showed the thing, you should know that he showed about Sirius. He said Sirius is the brightest star in the sky. So what is Sirius? Sirius in Sanskrit is called as Mragavada. And if you see, it is the dog star. Can you see a dog there? Now, that is the dog. That's the Sirius. The next to it is the hunter, the Orion. Right? So a hunter is always accompanied by a dog. And the other theme that you will also see is the Alpha Tauri, which is Aldebaran, which is called. You can see even Pleiades there. So you can see an arrow which is, from directly you can see one side it is going to Aldebaran from the belt, which is the Orion belt. The other side it is going to Sirius. So you know that Shiva is always accompanied with a dog and is called as Kala Bhairava. A black dog always accompanies Kala Bhairava. So this is the dog which is accompanying the Bhairava. So Orion is Bhairava. Orion. So if you slightly change the words Orion instead of Orion, say Orion. You know what is Orion? Sounds like Orion. The word Orion means somebody who is respected, somebody who is scholarly. somebody who is, has the skill or a stature. So Shiva as a hunter and as Bhairava is like Orion. And then what is Shiva always accompanied with? Who is waiting outside every Shiva temple? There is a bull, which is Nandi. That is your Aldebaran, your Rohini. Interesting, isn't it? So on one side you have the dog, which is standing behind Kala Bhairava. And in every Shiva temple, there is a Nandi which is waiting for Shiva to come out. And it is an eternal wait for that Nandi. Nandi is sitting there. You can see that Aldebaran. This is the bull's eye, the bull, the eye of the bull, the bull's eye, if you can see. Okay, so the other important thing that you can also see with the, with this system is, on one side of Rohini Nakshatra, we have the star, which is Kritika. Okay, you can see there, which is Pleiades, the seven sisters, the cluster. 6 of them are very prominent. One is very light in that. So 6 of them are the Kritikas, the 6 mothers who nourished Kartikeya. Okay, they are called the 6 wives of the Rishis also, the Sapta Rishis. The 7th one is with the Sapta Rishis, Arundhati, Vasishtha. So 6 are here. So they are called as 7 sisters, but 6 of them are very prominent here. And the 6 are the mothers who nourished. So who is the lord of this? It is Agni. Agni is fire. Now, if you go to the other side of Aldebaran, which is Rohini, is Mragashira. The principal deity is Soma. Soma is the waters. Soma is the waters, the elixir of life. So what do we need for any growth to happen? Any plant growth to happen, we need sunlight, warmth, which is Agni, Surya, the sunlight of the sun. And what we need is water. If you have the water and if you have the warmth and the light, we need a base for the seeds to grow. The base is the fertile earth, Mother Earth. So Rohini is the fertile earth. On one side, it has Agni, Kritika, which is giving the light and warmth. And on the other side, we have Mragashira, which is Soma, which is the waters. So that was what created Rohini, because it is the most fertile part of the zodiac sign.
No, the Taurus is also the earth sign, correct?
Earth sign, exactly. And Rohini falls in the middle of the earth sign. So look at all those nakshatra which are completely falling in the Rashi completely, which means 4 padas are falling in that Rashi. That will definitely have a very strong power associated with it. For example, you say Ardra Nakshatra falls completely into Gemini. Gemini is nothing but, it is the twin, isn't it? Which means you see the Gemini sign, it's a twin. And what is the twin before it was split? It is Ardhanarishwara, which means half of the thing is Shiva and half of them is Parvati, the androgynous one. Right? So that is the twin, that's Castor and Pollux that you see. Anyway, so but that is the twin concept is also there with Shiva. So from that androgynous form, what has happened? The right side, 11 abstractions of Rudras came and 11 abstractions of Rudrani have come. Anyway, let's go back to this. So this star, it's made of 5 stars. 5 is a complete number for creation, procreation. Rohini Nakshatra. Then the other theme that I would also say is one story, let me bring in. See, when Prajapati, which can alternatively say Brahma, who's called as Pitaji, Pitamaha. Pitamaha means grandfather, Dadaji, whatever you call him. So he had 3 sets of students. And this is given in Brahadranaka Upanishad. You can refer to that Upanishad, and this story has been given there. Now, this story is very interesting. What does the story say is, when they finished their studies, the three sets of pupils. One set of pupils were called as the Devas, the second set of pupils were called as Manushyas, and the third set were Asuras. When they finished their knowledge sharing and dissemination, they went to their preceptor, which is Brahma or Pitamaha, and they said, please guide us or instruct us. Now that we have this knowledge, what should we do? This is given in Brahadranaka Upanishad. Mahanarayana Upanishad also has this verse. So Brahma looks at them, and first it is the Devatas who go. And the Devatas is led by Indra. So he goes to Brahma. He says, we have learned a lot from you, Father. So please instruct us. What is our karmas and what we should be doing? Brahma only says the. He says the syllable the. And he says, did you understand what I mean? Devas all looked at each other. They were all perplexed. What does the mean? And then they looked at Indra. Indra said yes, because you know what? He was too shy to say, oh, we didn't understand, Father. Father means the preceptor or the guru or the teacher. So he said, yes, we understood. Maybe what it means is Dhamma. The stands for Dhamma. Dhamma means self-control. So basically, the Devatas understood that they must control their minds and their senses and develop detachment in order to attain self-actualization or self-realization. That was the message. Brahma looks at them and smiles and says, correct. Next, Manushyas and Manu Rishi leading the Manushyas, they go to Brahma. He says, what is the instruction for us? What is our purpose here? And what are we supposed to do? Brahma looks at them, smiles and says, the again. Manu Rishi looks at the Manushyas, the humankind. All the humans are perplexed. What does the mean? But Manu Rishi doesn't want to accept. He says, I feel it is dana. The for dana. Dana means donations or charity. We as human beings have the tendency towards indulgence, greed, and attachments. So what we must learn from this is, they understood, they said, we must learn from your message that we should share whatever we have with others in order to purify our own hearts and thereby to attain self-realization. Brahma smiles and said, very intelligent, good. Go, who's next? Come. Asuras go to Brahma. Same thing. What is our instruction for us? Brahmaji, you are our father. He again says the. And he says, did you understand my instruction? All of them look at each other. They are led by the king Mahabali, who is one of the greater kings of the Asuras or the Daityas. Now, Mahabali doesn't want to say, the Devas have come, Manushyas have come and gone. They have said, yes, this is good. He said, this is Daya. Da stands for Daya. Daya means pity, mercy, kindness, compassion. So the Asuras understood that only through having compassion and non-violence we can stay away from the gross activities of tamasic nature. And they said that is going to take us towards self-realization. Brahma looks at them and says, very good, instruction is correct, go ahead. So imagine that even Brahma didn't say anything. He said the. This is what Brahadramnika Upanishad is saying. How you interpret this information. Rohini is all about interpretation. The deeper message I want to give to all the viewership is, see, words, whatever words are spoken to the conscious mind, words speak to the conscious. Symbols speak to the subconscious. It is our subconscious mind which really runs the show. So Rohini is just the symbology, the associations that you see. And the greater truths will come out because what is meant for you is to be interpreted in the Rohini. So that is why the greatest gift to humanity, which has come from Sri Krishna, is Bhagavad Gita. He has given the Bhagavad Gita, but he has not given the literal meaning. It is for everybody of us to interpret basically based on our own progress, our own growth has to be interpreted by different phases. How did Brahma's the Devas understood it differently? They said Dhamma, which means self-control. That's why Indra means Indriyas. Somebody who has control over his sense organs is called as an Indra. Complete control. Then Dana, charity for humans. And for Rakshasas, what? Daya. Daya means have mercy, give mercy. That was the message. But are everybody following their duties as per Brahma? Humans, are they being charitable and donation? They're giving alms and everything. Are the Rakshasas or the Asuras are maintaining their mercy, kindness, compassion? Okay. So anyway, that is the difference that you see with the Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic nature. Okay, because what is a Rajas? Rajas means it is state of activity. You have to be doing something. Sattvic, state of serenity, and Tamasic, state of inertia. Okay. Anyway, so the other key thing that one of the points which Aditya also mentioned is about talking about wars and Rohini. Interestingly, only covered about the wars that have been, recent 150 years. But did you know that during the Mahabharata war also, it is said that Saturn had entered into Rohini. It was given very clearly that Saturn was in Rohini during the Mahabharata war beginning. Beginning also is the motion which is happening. The other theme, Ramayana, let us go further back from Mahabharata. There is an episode where Shani was just about to enter into Rohini Nakshatra. And Dasharatha was the king, the father of Lord Sri Ram. And he was issueless at that time. So some of the great scholars, astronomers like Dr. Togi, astrologers like Dr. Kanholy, Santhip, Krishnan, they all went to Dasharatha and said, look, oh my God, we have done a lot of work on nakshatras. We actually know what is going to happen. This is our research. In the past, there is devastation can happen. There could be famines, there could be drought, there could be a lot of deaths that can happen. There could be warlike situations. So we warn you, Shani's movement. Now Dasharatha was foxed. He said, what is that I can do? So, but Dasharatha, the word Dasha means 10. Rathas means chariots. 10 chariots, which means he can drive the 10 chariots. You know what are the 10 chariots? 10 chariots is somebody who has mastered the 5 jnanendriyas, the organs of perception, and 5 karmendriyas, which can actually perceive that and act on the karmas. What is it? Eyes, smell, hearing, speech, taste, touch, all of those. So those are the sense organs and organs of perception. So he is the master of all of these pancha karmendriyas and pancha jnanendriyas. That's why he was called as Dasharatha. So he had the ability to go to the heavens, not heavens, in the mid heavens, which is where you have the celestial planets, and he goes to Shani and he pleads Shani, please don't enter Rohini Nakshatra. I beg of you. I have been given orders by Dr. Santhip Kanholy Krishnan is an astrologer, and Dr. Aditya Togi have already warned me what will happen if they move into Rohini Nakshatra. So Shani says, impossible. I have to move through Rohini. So in this whole thing to please him, Dasharatha creates a beautiful verse to Shani that is called as a Dasharatha Shani Stotram. It is very popular. And for people who are going through bad phases of Shani, you can worship through the prayers through Dasharatha Shani Stotram. When after also giving him this praise to Shani, Shani refused, then he said, you have to fight with me. So everybody intervened and they say, we don't want a battle now, because that could really. So finally, Shani gave him one blessing to Dasharatha that I will not enter, I will circumvent. That is the only probably Shani once, or he doesn't spare anybody. But we know what is the repercussions, what have happened after that. Because Shani can probably not enter, but it has created a situation what Dasharatha, thinking that it was an animal like a deer, he shot an arrow without seeing and it killed Shravana Kumar. The blind parents cursed him that you will also have similar sort of curse. That curse came through. So when his son Rama was away in exile, he died when his son was away. Rama didn't even come to do his Kriya Karmas, Antim Sanskar. It was done by Bharata. Lakshmana and Rama were not there to do the final rites. Even though Bharata comes to say, please come and do because you are the eldest son. He says, no, I cannot come back into the kingdom. Anyway, one more interesting point, what I wanted to say is about Aditya, mentioned about Rohini Nakshatra and the second pada of Rohini Nakshatra. Very important. Why? See, in the Nakshatra scheme of things, there are certain nakshatras. Every Rashi will have one Nakshatra pada, which is called as a Vargottama. Okay. So if you have 9 padas in each Rashi, for all Chara Rashis, which means movable signs, the first Rashi pada or the first Navamsha pada is Vargottama. For all Sthira Rashis, it is going to be the 5th quarter or the 5th Navamsha pada or Rashi pada will become the Vargottama. And for all dual or mutable signs, it is going to be the 9th. Okay, 159. So every Rashi will have one Vargottama. Vargottama means the word I'm saying here is Uttama with a particular Varga chart. Now, whenever we are saying Vargottama here in this, is the context is whenever you see a planet is in one Rashi, it is in the same Rashi in the Navamsha. In this case, we are talking about. It can be Vargottama with the other Vargas as well. That is different. But whenever we are talking about Vargottama concept here, we are talking with the being in the same Rashi in the D1 chart, the Rashi chart, as well as in the Navamsha chart, the D9 chart. Also, each Rashi has 2 Nakshatra padas which are called as Pushkara Navamsha pada. So totally how many? 12 Rashis and 2 per Rashi, so 24. So totally we have 12 Vargottama padas and 24 Pushkara Navamsha. What does Pushkara means? Pushkara means it is like a blue lotus. See, a blue lotus blossoming is a very, very, very rare phenomenon, which even they say the lower dimensional beings like the Gandharvas, the Kinnaras, the Yakshas, they are waiting for that lotus flower to blossom because it blossoms only on the full moon night and it blossoms in the middle of the night when nobody. So it's a rare phenomenon. And it's said that it is a very, very important thing that if you get a blue lotus. So Pushkara. Now amongst that,
I have the blue lotus oil.
Oh, very nice. So it is said to be very good for your eyes. And people also said, I was listening to one YouTube video by Dr. Vasant Lad, who is in Ayurveda. He says in Ayurvedic scriptures, it is mentioned that if a water dropling of the fully blossomed blue lotus, if you are putting it into the eyes, then such eyes will be able to see, you will remove all the X-ray vision and you can see it like an X-ray, you can see all the lower dimensional world, which means you can see spirits, you can see kinnaras, you can see yakshas and Gandharvas, the lower dimensional, not the higher dimensional, you can see them.
It's a very
And
good
that,
for sleep. It helps me to sleep. It helps me to sleep better.
exactly. It is also probably it makes you into a state which is very heightened state of perception and dream-like state. That's why you're able to perceive that. So Pushkara, understand this. Now Aditya said the second pada is said to be both a Vargottama pada as well as a Pushkara Navamsha pada. Okay. Now Aditya stopped at that and he said, this is very unique. Okay, very good. We know that, Krishna was born in Rohini Nakshatra. That's all we have information. We do not know which pada. Right? Let us leave that for the time being. Let's go to Sri Rama. Sri Rama was born in which moon, in which nakshatra and which pada? Do you know that? That we are confirmed because that is what Valmiki Ramayana says very clearly.
Punarvasu fourth, correct?
Fourth pada. Punarvasu fourth pada is a Pushkara Navamsha as well as a Vargottama. Krishna we don't know because there is no anecdotal evidence to show that. So Rama is definitely born in Punarvasu fourth pada, which is very clear as per Valmiki Ramayana. There is no two questions about it. Of course, there is a question whether if you have to be born on Navami Tithi, sun will not be in Aries. As per K.N. Rao, he says, of course, you just calculate and see it has to be 96 degrees and more. So sun has to move into Pisces sign. Otherwise, if 0 to 3 degrees, 20 minutes of Cancer sign, if moon is there, so go back and you check. So definitely sun cannot be if it is Navami Tithi. Correct. So we know that Rama is born in Pushkara Navamsha moon and Vargottama moon. Krishna, we don't know. This I am going to say without any confirmation. I feel I could be wrong. Krishna is definitely Rohini Nakshatra second pada. So two avatars are confirmed. We know two Avataras or Avatarana, which means they are, they have come down. Avatarana means to come down, descend. Okay. Avataras are from the heavens, they have descended here for dharma, protection of dharma. Now it brings me to the third Pushkara Navamsha and Vargottama pada, and I leave with the wildest imaginations to the people to understand which is the last avatar which is still there. So the third Vargottama and Pushkara Navamsha pada is Uttarashada, first pada, which falls in Sagittarius. So if Rama is born in Punarvasu fourth, and assuming that I'm taking the liberty to say Krishna must have been born in Rohini Nakshatra second. Again, there might be some scholars who might say, how do you know this? No, I don't have any evidence to show you or no text to show it is the second pada. Rama we know. So then it gives me invincible victory, which is Uttarashada first pada, which is also Pushkara Navamsha and also a Vargottama pada. So I leave it to the viewership and to our elite panelist to tell what might be possibly be going to be born, which avatarana, which is yet to happen, and who is going to be the ultimate, Apradesha Shakti. Indefeatable, unsurmountable, invincible. Okay. With that, I think I will end. I know I can go on, for many such things, but I think, Dr. Togi has done a very good job. He has covered, he comes like a professor and he thoroughly covers everything. He leaves very little for us to discuss.
No.
Because he has done a
I
thorough
think
job.
It's not a good job for me. I'm just repeating the textbook. Textbook material is not good always.
No, that is, we need somebody who can bring in that information, and
But
then
can
we
you
will
say
add a little bit of, yeah.
something about Pushkara Bhaga too? You know, that's another whole. You can have
Yes.
Pushkara Navamsha.
Jataka Parijata, you have to read Jataka Parijata. You know, definitely that is a good book to see, Pushkara Bhaga. Also, read the book by, C.S. Patel Sab, Navamsha in Astrology, where he is also mentioned about these, the special points of Pushkara Bhaga also has been mentioned in his book as well. Some Nadi scriptures he must have referred to, especially he says a lot about Chandrakala Nadi. Chandrakala Nadi is Deva Keralam also, it is been referred to as. So, yeah, there is very good references to this, Jataka Parijata,
It is so
of what I'm
interesting.
talking about.
Even this part, Pushkara Bhaga also falls in the same second pada.
Yes.
And I know some charts who are really, and if you are planet, especially in the second pada, pay close attention. These natives, I have like got 2 or 3 charts probably coming in my mind through some consultation, other things and all. That yes, they are really something. Some special powers of planets comes into this. It's one of the, it's the king of all the padas, you can say, of all
It
the.
definitely is, but as I said, Punarvasu 4, Rohini
But
second.
Pushkara Bhaga also falls in that. That's the question.
Yes.
Okay.
No, Pushkara Bhaga is very close to this point. Pushkara Bhaga would be around, I think, 13 degrees. So it is very close. Pushkara Bhaga is also coming very close. Now, I don't remember from the top of my head because I do, teach nakshatras. That's why I keep updating. See, one more interesting thing with the Rohini Nakshatra. Now, the yoni, the animal of this nakshatra is, we said, a male serpent. And Krishna, we know about Kalinga or Kalia, the serpent. He didn't kill Kalia. He made Kalia to move away from there because he was poisoning the rivers of Yamuna. And what did he do? He danced on the head of the multi-headed Kalia. Kalyanag. Isn't it? So somebody who can tame. See, the story is very interesting. Sri Rama and Sri Krishna. One, Sri Rama was born in a palace, sent to exile. Krishna was born in a prison, who went on to create an empire in Dwaraka. Look at the contrast. One born in a prison to, having Balarishta. You know what is Balarishta? Which means when you are young, you have so many instances on you to have death, which means he was constantly under the target of being killed. Who protected him? The first day when he was transported, the protection comes from the Kuladevata or the Kuladeva of the Yadava clan. You know who is the Kuladevata of the Yadava clan? It is Shiva as Somanatha. So it is said that protection comes when you are under the influence of the warrior lord. Who's the warrior lord? Shiva's son, Kartikeya. What is the mount of Kartikeya? Peacock. So what he did, he said, I'm going to gift you a peacock feather to Krishna as a baby, because he wants Kartikeya to be there protecting this child. Somanatha, remember, is and the first Somanatha temple, as per the story, was built by Soma himself, which is Chandra. Yeah. He said it was built in gold. Right? Then the next, it was reconstructed and built in silver, they say, by Sri Krishna, because it is a school devata, Somanatha. That's why Krishna is said to be Chandravamshi, the lunar dynasty. Sri Rama is a Suryavamshi, Raghukula, solar dynasty. isn't it? So, who is the Lord for them? Somanath. So, it is Shiva who comes on the first day and he gives him a feather. That becomes his trademark. You see, how do you identify Krishna when you are, having a school fancy dress competitions? You see, many commonly become Krishnas. And then one of the ways you identify Krishna is otherwise every child looks like Krishna itself. They are so close to God. Only two things which will differentiate them from other forms of avatars. One is the peacock feather, the other is the flute, bansuri, that he is holding in his hand. See, also Krishna has various different forms of flute he knows to play. And that is the names also. So what is his different names, of the flutes? He has many different sizes. One is called as Venu. That's why it's called as Venu Gopala, small. The other is called as a Murali, another kind of flute, slightly bigger Murali. Venu is very small. You have to use like this. It's called Venu Gopala. Then he is called as Murali Manohar. That is, the Murali is the smaller. Then we have Vamsi, slightly bigger. He's called as Vamsi also. That's a different kind of flute, Vamsi. And then the most popular one is Bahasuri, which is made from the bamboo stick. So 4 kinds of flutes he knows to play: Venu, Murali, Vamsi, and Bahasuri. Bans means
Bamboo.
bamboo. So the bamboo stick one is the longest one. It's very, very big. You have to use, So he had a beautiful way to communicate with just the music. So that's why Rohini Nakshatra will have a lot of interest in music. Rohini is all about dance, enchantment. It is about the pink color. Jamun, if you see, it's called rose apple. Why? It looks like rose. It looks like a pinkish. Have you seen that pinkish one? There is white also, but jambul also it is called as jamun. Also, it's called Java plum. Also, it is called. So it's got a very pinkish, very juicy, nice little fruit. Okay. Anyway, I think I've spoken quite a bit. I don't want to break all our records, but
Dr. Pai, I wanted to request if you could also talk about the Daksha Prajapati's Yagna story also, if you could.
Yes, of course. See, as I said, what is Daksha? And again, this is my theory, I say. Now, this is not given in any books or any Upanishads. It's just an interpretation I'm making. See, Daksha had 60 daughters. Some talk about, 30, some talk about 60. There are different variations. It's okay. From 2 wives. All his daughters became the stars. So why would you call all his daughters the stars? In one way, you can say probably he was like Dr. Aditya Togi. Dr. Aditya Togi looks at stars every day, astronomy. He loves all of that. So one day he said, these are like my daughters. Why? Because I look at them every day and I'm so fascinated with them. So how many? We have 88 star constellations, right? In our galaxy that can be visible.
Yeah. We have 88. Yeah.
88. Yeah. From our firmament that can be seen, 88. But all of those constellations are not nakshatras. Remember the difference. Today I want to dispel this myth for everybody. 88 constellations are there. All of them are not called nakshatras. Out of those 88, many of our ancestors and researchers and scholars like Dr. Togi and Dr. Kanholy Santhip Krishnan, they started seeing some formations there, patterns there. Those kind of patterns were called as asterisms, where you could say, oh, this looks like a bull. Oh, this looks like a dog. This looks like a eagle. So anywhere a constellation was given a pattern or a symbol by our ancients, they are called as asterisms. So all asterisms are constellations, but all constellations are not asterisms. Did you understand the difference, what I was trying to say? Now, among these asterisms, our ancients handpicked 27 or 28 of them, and they said they are nakshatras. They are the abodes of the divinities which are residing, the cosmic forces in the heavens is nakshatras. So don't say that all constellations are nakshatras. So all nakshatras are also asterisms, but all asterisms are not nakshatras. All asterisms are constellations, but all constellations are not asterisms. So did you understand? That is why nakshatras not only have a formation, a unique formation, but they also have their entire power only residing in one star, which is called the Yogatara or the principal star. That is the abode of the deity of that nakshatra. The other stars are only marker stars, in my opinion, to identify that star. Like we said, for Rohini, it's Aldebaran, which is Alpha Tauri. See, Alpha Tauri, you have to understand, is I'm just giving you a context based on astronomers. See, interestingly, this Aldebaran that I see is considered to be more than 6.6 billion years old. These stars. See, Aditya, you can correct me. As per many people believe, Sun is about 4.6 billion years.
Yeah.
All the other planets, other 4.5 billion years. This is 6.6 billion years old. And just to put a context there, it is about, the universe itself, as per many, is 13.8 billion. I'm taking all of this from, what I have read from Google. So Google is my teacher. I am not referring to it. Earth itself is 4.5 billion years. All the planets generally. This is 6.6, and it is it is almost 6 light years away. Whatever is happening in Aldebaran, for us to understand, just think about it, how long it will take for it to reach here.
65 light years.
65 light years, correct. Not 6.5. 65 light years means if something happens to Aldebaran and tomorrow it becomes a supernova, only after 65 years we will know. We will not know. It has already become. But somebody was telling me that, astronomy, and Aditya, you can tell me, your Ardra Nakshatra,
Ardra is
Betelgeuse, is almost on the verge of becoming a supernova. I mean, explode.
maybe
We don't know, but how many
died
million?
also.
Huh?
It maybe
Yeah.
died.
If it is died, and by the time the light reaches here, one Australian astronomy article I was reading, he says, if this happens, this phenomenon will have light in our Milky Way galaxy for about 6 months. There will be light. That explosion light will be seen, and there would no be night, because that brightness of that explosion can be so big, because Betelgeuse is a very huge, magnanimous.
I don't know whether night we won't have night or not, but what he meant by 6 months is when the star explode, it looks so bright and it doesn't fade away. It will take long 6 months to fade away, And
But is that light spread in our galaxy, and because of which we might not be able to see complete darkness? Is what
that
that's
may
possible?
not. That may
That
not.
may not happen.
But the light itself is like when it explodes, it's a bright light, and it slowly takes time to fade away. So it takes about 6 months, year, or maybe 2 years.
Maybe, yeah, we don't know. Yeah.
But it is, but sometimes you can see even during the daytime, like that will be so
Oh,
bright.
is that much brightness will be there in the?
Yeah. Sometimes that could happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
That can.
It is interesting. It's very interesting, but we don't know when it will happen. By the time we know, probably we will not be here also. But if it has already happened, and I don't know how far that is, maybe the
500 or 800, something like that, light years away. So after
500, which means if it has exploded 500 years ago, then we will know now.
Yeah.
But with telescopy and other things like the James,
but the
what
signal,
so it has already exploded.
no signal can go faster than light. So, and whatever we see is only with the light, correct? So the distance is around, yeah, they say 408 to 548. So around 500 light years. Yeah, 500 years. So if if it would have died in 1800, still we had to take 300 years. We may not know. Yeah.
Well, fascinating. Okay, so I'm done. So guys, anything that you wanted to add? Anything that
Yeah, Dr. Pai, the Yagna story, if you could, Daksha's Yagna.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I always digress and I forgot what we started with. Okay, now the thing is, because he considered them as his daughters, the stars, he was obsessed and he must have come with a system which he said, this is my system, which is an apparatus. He said, this is a system of studying them because I've been observing them and I'm making notes. So you can say in one way, his grand sacrifice or yagna is a recognition of saying, I have discovered something which is very phenomenal. Now, he has not invited Shiva, which means Shiva is the original master of understanding. He has his own system, and he probably these were contemporaries, and they are like scientists who were against each other. Like you have Thomas Alva Edison on one side, and you have Nikola Tesla, who worked for Thomas Alva Edison at one point of time, and then he went and branched out and he did his own work. So you see how there is, even in research environment, if you are working, somebody else is also working on a different system, and you will have this group rivalry which will be there.
That's why I was laughing. I was remembering many things.
Don't you think
my
so?
system is more efficient. Your system
Exactly.
is crap.
So my system is more efficient. So why should I invite this guy who claims Shiva has never claimed he is a scientist, but he is Adi Yogi. Adi Yogi means the first one to even think about yoga and to think about these bigger, higher dimensional things. So in that way, a lower dimensional person, somebody like us, who is like very, very thrilled, we are very joyous, we know so much about nakshatras. Actually, we don't know anything. But we think we know. And probably Daksha became that arrogant. So he invited everybody, come, have a look at his grand yagna could be his grand experiments he was trying to show. Now, this is again, I said, everything is a story and you can make it like, grandma stories. I'm also making it just like a kid. So what happens is, think very interesting why I'm saying this, is maybe the system or the original system has to start with Taurus, because that is bull, which is Shiva's system. Starts with Kritika Nakshatra, where 3 padas are falling in Taurus. Maybe that is where the system of nakshatras began. And that was probably, this guy said, no, it has to be Aries in Ashwin. Now, very interesting. What happens in this grand sacrifice? His own daughter, which is she's a nakshatra also, which is like Sati. She is also called as Dakshayani, which means favorite daughter of Daksha. But she has gone against his wish and married the scientist that she wanted to. She was appreciating the work of Shiva, abandoning her own scientist father, an astronomer father. He said, I don't want to invite these people. You have gone against my wishes and gone with an astronomer who doesn't agree with my findings and my research. And she elopes and she burns herself, self-immolates. That is the story, right? Which means she comes trying to show her husband's work also, while the rest of the community is appreciating Prajapati to say, we accept your system. She's like, no, this is disgrace. Why can't you even listen to me? This happens with a lot of scientists, researchers, isn't it? Nobody is ready to listen to your part of the story. They want to say, this guy is a more popular scientist. He's got a lot of grants and he has got a lot of following. because he's invited everybody, so we will follow his system. Maybe she came there as brokering truce. We can also have to look at both the systems. Why are you trying to rebel? Accept both. Can both exist? When that was a humiliation, she burnt herself because she was the experiment herself. Which means in one way we can consider that she became a supernova, like we were talking. She exploded herself and became a supernova, Sati. Then what happens? You have Veerabhadra and Mahakali coming and devastating, and Daksha's head was cut off. Now, what happens after that? Many people say, wow, this is a Prajapati, he's a progenitor. And all these are his daughters who are married to different rishis. It is, anartha. Let us somehow revive him. They plead to Shiva to bring back life. You know what they do? The same story what has happened with Ganapati. Exactly the same story. They say, go and see whichever animal which is alive, which is sleeping with his head towards the north direction, cut the head of that animal. First animal you get, bring it back, we will infuse life. There is a very great meaning with this. Understand? They said any animal which is lying down. Because dead bodies are only kept with their head in the north and with a leg to the south. This is every Hindu custom. Okay, so don't sleep with your head towards the north and your leg towards the south. Because if they are looking for a head, they will cut off your head and they will take somewhere else. So the elephant was, they said, whichever elephant is lying live, they didn't say elephant, they said whichever animal is lying with his head towards the north, cut that head. So they found an elephant. For Ganapati, they brought that. For this guy, they found a goat. They cut the head of the goat and they brought him. And that was given. What is the symbol of a Aries? Is the ram, the goat. So there is a system which starts with Aries, which is Daksha's. So Shiva said, okay, so be it. You can also start your system from Aries. That's why he was given. Why was he not given a camel's head? Why was he not given a any other animal's head? A giraffe's head, goat, and bull. These are a very clear indication of seeing the system of Mesha and Vrashaba, the bull system and the ram system. Where is the starting point?
Shiva is always cutting everyone's head. Brahma's head, Ganapati's head, Daksha's head. And he's a doctor also. He knows surgery.
Exactly. He's a Vaidya. He's a Vaidya. He's a Vaidyanath. So he's a healer.
I think
He also infuses life.
he knows how to mend that putting head and all. Maybe he's the first doctor.
That is why he is the one who gave Mrit Sanjivini Vidya to Shukra. Because he knows how to revive the dead, right? That is his original system.
But always cutting head, chopping head is always there.
Because what is the head? I told you, head has all the information that we need. The brain is here. The eyes are here. The nose is here. The ears are here. The mouth is here. If you cut out the head, you are a Rahu. You have everything in the head, but all the other parts which run, this is the central processing unit, the CPU. Without this, nothing else is working here. It is all Ketu, the rest, without this. So it is always about the head.
I think
So which head is important?
I think Vishnu got mischievous after being from Shiva, and he started cutting head of Sorbanu then.
Yeah, but he also got his head cut, right? He's become Hayagriva.
Oh.
Horse's head. So all of these which are called as Purusha Mragas. Understand there is a greater secret of Purusha Mragas. What is Purusha Mraga? Half is human body, half is animals. This you can see even is in different cultures also. Have you seen the Sphinx? It's the same. It's the body of a lion and the head of a woman or a man or whatever. We don't know because it is now disfigured. But if you see 100 years ago, you would have only seen the head. They only after excavating it, the archaeologists found that below the head there was so much, there was a line, there was a lion's body because of the sand dunes and everything had covered it up to the head. So the Sphinx, if you see 100 years ago, it is like Angkor Wat. One of the largest temple, which is non-functioning temple in the world, is Angkor Wat in Cambodia. It was only understood only 100, 120 years ago. It was excavated. Otherwise, that temple was completely buried. Such a big, huge temple. Same with, so these are called as Purushamragas. So even the Egyptian civilization has been worshipping such beings, which is half human, half animal, because we are trying to bring in the animalistic instincts out. When we pray to Ganapati, what are we trying to do? Every human body has also a DNA which has a very similar structure with all other animals and beasts, because we have all evolved, right? And have you seen an elephant, whenever it is angry, what it does? It moves only in straight lines. Even if a tree comes, it will not change its track. It will pull down the tree. Basically, when we meditate, we are bringing and we are triggering that animal instinct of an elephant, which only moves in straight lines. Even in the game of chess, the elephant of the rook, what we call, only moves in straight lines. It cannot move, So people used to tell when I was, I listened to stories. If an elephant is after you, never run in a straight line, always run zigzag. Because the animal is so huge, by the time it changes its direction, you can immediately move in the other direction. It takes a lot of time for the elephant to move again in another direction. If you're running in a straight line, it will come straight over you and run over you. Always run zigzag. If ever you go to a natural reserve and elephant starts chasing you, don't go in straight line. It will, if its speed catches up, it can run over you very easily. Anyway, I think that's a story that I wanted to share. Again, how many of you have some views? You can always put it in the comments. I'm not trying to say this is just a imagination. You can say a fiction of my imagination, the story that I'm sharing with Daksha's, Prajapati's, and Shiva's story. But interesting correlations, right?
Yeah, that's very fascinating. I think the Aries thing with the goat was very, very interesting. So like how you said that, and definitely one system versus the other system makes perfect sense also. So like with the Aries being the goat and all that, people forget Aries actually goat and ram, right? So that people forget
Yes.
that kind of thing actually. It's very, very interesting actually.
Okay. So over to you guys now to continue
Yeah.
with our discussion. Santhip, I think
Okay,
you're
great.
next.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we had a long distance discussion so far. However, it was very interesting. So I like a lot of her points, which was very, very fascinating, made me think also some more deeply. So it was very amazing actually. Now, a couple of things I want to, well, first of all, I want to emphasize that Saturn and Rohini point, which Aditya and Dr. Pai also mentioned, how Mahabharata happened during Saturn and Rohini. So there are very interesting works on that. In fact, there are controversial scholars also going about that. There are some scholars who are arguing about specific dates and so forth. I think even we also had a video on that. I think there's one scholar by the name Manish Pandit, if I'm not mistaken, he clearly says these are the one date, and there's another famous scholar Nilesh Shok who's like proposing in the date. So talk about argument between scholars that is definitely happening for sure on an event that was happening with Rohini for sure. Now, this is very interesting. So Saturn and Rohini, definitely that Mahabharata aspect is very, and Dr. Pai also beautifully shared that Dashrada's Shani Stotram, which is also very amazing to see. Now, Shani becomes very important here. That's the first thing I want to highlight. So Shani becomes the Yogarka Graha for the Taurus natives actually. So if you think about astrologically, you not think about why should there be a problem, but think about Shani, right? Shani is Shani. So Shani is both the 9th lord and the 10th lord, becomes a very important planet for Taurus Lagna natives. And when Shani is going into the Taurus sign, now you actually have a real, your karmas are coming forth. You have to make sure your philosophy is cleared up. You have to make sure your actions are also cleared up. So if that is not aligned, for sure, Mahabharata, Shani wants to maintain Dharma for sure. So like the Mahabharata was a great war that happened to maintain Dharma. So interestingly, most of the time, the Dharma conflicts happen within our family actually, which is Taurus, which is a natural second of the zodiac. That is starting point of more karma. And so in fact, fascinatingly, after the moksha sign, you have 12th house of Pisces, 8th house of occult, which is Scorpio. The other 4th house of Cancer being a moksha sign is very, very equally important. Your family can easily be a source of moksha. So your childhood could easily be a source of moksha if you carefully work with that. So that's a very interesting thing, I thought. So of course, that's what happened in Mahabharata, where two families were fighting. Inside the family itself, cousins were fighting. So eventually that fight had to kind of be resolved when Shani was in Rohini. And as Dr. Pai also mentioned, worship of Krishna is great. So you want to win the war in your family, worship Krishna, right? Things like that. That's the easiest thing to do. That's a very differently supplemental thing to do. So people usually do all kind of other pujas and all that to defeat your enemies, to defeat all the Shatra Samhara puja, Kurdi and all that, if you're in Kerala and all that, very standard thing. But think about worshiping Krishna. He might actually give you the wisdom to actually navigate the family arguments that you are having. That's one thing I want to say. The other thing which I thought was very, very fascinating was that the deity Brahma and Prajapati. Now, Brahma as a deity is actually not worshipped in Kali Yuga. Famously, he got a curse and all that. Now, this is very interesting because you do find that there are temples for Brahma in India, and rarely, well, of course, there are a couple of temples for Brahma in India. The famous Pushkar temple is there in Rajasthan, I believe, where you can go to that temple. I think it's close to Ajmer, if I'm not mistaken. So that temple is where you can actually go and worship Brahma. Now, in that temple, Brahma has both Gayatri and Savitri. He has the story of two wives also, where that's an interesting Sthala Purana kind of thing for the temple, where the Brahma wanted to do a yagya, but then his wife Gayatri Devi was not showing up on time, so he just created a wife, which was Savitri Devi, did the yagya, and then the yagya was over and so forth. Eventually, whoever participated in the yagya, like Gayatri showed up. Now Gayatri sees Brahma with a new wife Savitri. She immediately curses whoever participated in the yagya. She basically says that they'll suffer and all that. Once she left, Savitri Devi was like, your curse will be kind of calmed down. Don't worry about the curse, and then you will get blessings and so forth. So interestingly, in that when you go to Pushkar temple, there is a smaller temple for Gayatri Devi close to the main sanctum will have Gayatri Devi temple also in that sanctum. But there is also Savitri Devi temple in a mountain on top also. That's also one more interesting thing. So it's good to go to that other Savitri Devi temple close to the mountain also. So to make sure the story is complete. But you're seeing the parallels again. So like a marriage issue coming up for Burma, right? So 7th house from Taurus is actually Scorpio, which is naturally not the easiest sign to deal with the karma. So definitely some kind of default marriage karma can actually happen here, where it's not easy marriage, karma with like physical abuse in marriage usually. In some cases, there can be karma with sexual affairs and all that, which is normal and so forth. So of course, Brahma did not have an affair, but he did have a wife, someone to occupy the position of wife, that kind of thing. So that's one thing these natives definitely have to just be cautious of. Now, more likely the karma can happen when you have malefic planets in 7th house Scorpio also, or malefic planets in Rohini. But the challenging aspect of the Rohini story is coming forth. So if you have benefics and all that, you don't have to worry about it. But malefics definitely, a historical karma might have happened with some relative or ancestors or something like that could have also happened. So that is one thing. So Pushkar temple is definitely there. So that is one temple. Now, interestingly, you find another temple for Brahma in Thailand, actually, out of all the places. So which is in Erawan. There is a famous Erawan temple in Thailand, in Bangkok, where you can actually worship Brahma, which I thought was very, very fascinating. Because what happens in that temple, differently you can, the temple also has a history in which they apparently construction for a big hotel was happening. It's very close to a hotel, actually, one of those famous hotels there. I think it was a mall or a hotel, I forget what, but the construction was always getting hampered. So some or the other, some people kept on dying. There was big issues. Finally, they consulted the Thailand astrologers, Thai astrologer and Buddhist monks and all that. They decided, you know what, we need to have a temple for everyone. And that's what happened. So it's a relatively new temple, to be frank. But it's a very, very powerful temple. It's still, they worship Brahma there, actually. So they installed four-faced god there, and definitely that's Brahma for sure. So in fact, that is a thing I've seen also. Many times these natives might end up visiting Thailand. They might end up visiting the land of elephants. They might end up visiting the Ravan temple. And definitely that's a very, very good place to visit, good place to do remedy. Now in Thailand and all that, definitely it's a Venus land, a lot of tourism and all that is the main source of income there also. So you see that particular link there also. So that is one thing. Now, interestingly, I came across another set of another set of temples also, which I thought was interesting, which I'll just share here quickly. So there are these temples called as Divyadesham temples actually. So I'll just, okay, my bad. Let me share the thing quickly. Yeah, so there is a temple called a Divyadesham temple, which are the famous 108 temples linked with Vaishnavite system. Now here you can see one list here. So they say the Divyadesham begins with Sri Rangam and all that, but there are 108 Divyadesham temples. So easily you can correlate that with the Nakshatra Padas. So if you do that math, Rohini Nakshatra Padas will be from 13th to 16th temple. So that will be like Nagar temple, in which Bhudevi and I believe Lavanavarjita Srinivasa Perumal is the name of former Vishnu there. You have Tirunarayur and Vanjulavalli with Srinivasa Perumal, which is 14 Pada, for Pada 2 of Rohini. Tirucherai and Sharanayagi and Sarnada Perumal, and Tirunandipura, Vinagaram, Shenbagavalli, and Jagannath Perumal, which are the temples which you could potentially visit if you're a Vaishnavite and all that. Now, the thing I want to share that was that now, if you carefully look at the stories of those temples, you'll see some kind of correlations with the Rohini Nakshatra themes. So something to look into. Definitely those temples. Now, if you are in Tamil Nadu and all that, thousands of temples there, definitely these kind of temples you'll see having some more relative importance actually. So I can really encourage to visit those temples. Now, of course, from a Shaivite perspective, Somnath, which Dr. Pai already mentioned, the story how like Moon got cursed by his father-in-law, and then the story says that Somnath, Soma himself worshipped Shiva there in Somnath temple, and finally his curse got calmed down to like waxing and moon waning phase according to another version. So in which like the moon became waxing and waning phase before his father's curse was absolute, his father-in-law's curse was absolute. So then it eventually worship of Somnath was like that. Now this is very interesting also. Because they say that apparently when the ancient invaders came to, I mean, Somnath is one of the heavily plundered temples also. So like at the border in Gujarat and all that. So a lot of invasion attempts there. When the initial invaders came in, apparently the Shivalinga was apparently floating in the air, is what they were telling, which was a very interesting thing to think about also, which makes interesting sense. Because if you look at 10th house from Taurus, you find the air sign of Aquarius and so forth. So apparently at that point in time, the Indians might have known all the magnetic or anti-gravity technology and all that and so forth, which is something interesting to think about also. And then Somnath temple, of course, is very ancient, very powerful, historically very old also, very relevant also. Now it's definitely if you have plant in Taurus and so forth, very much it's recommended to visit that temple also. Now the Brahma worship is not really looked in general in India. However, worship of Brahma is always recommended in Vastu Shastra and all that, because in Vastu Shastra, the middle portion of the house or the room or the space you are in is always recommended to be kept empty, and they call it the Brahmasthana also. So that is always recommended. So in fact, one of the examples is that in your hand also the middle portion is always empty, it's shallow. So they recommend Brahmasthana of the hand is actually the middle, which is kind of shallow, which is kind of empty also. So from that perspective, it is worship of Brahma is recommended to bring in some peace in your space and all. They say it's very powerful and all that. So the famous, no, well, not famous, but they say the Brahma's Gayatri mantra can be done very safely. So it is good. So I think it goes Om Hiranyagarbhaya Vitmahe Shatanandaya Dhimahi Tanno Brahma Prachodayat. If you search for Brahma Gayatri mantra, you might find this mantra very easily. Now the mantra itself is very interesting because the Hiranyagarbha and Shatananda. I think Shatananda is, I don't know what that means, but Hiranyagarbha definitely means the golden egg of sorts. So Shatananda could be the 4 phase 1 also, if I'm, maybe Dr. Pai can correct that if I'm wrong. But anyway, the Hiranyagarbha thing is very interesting. Definitely a golden egg kind of thing. Now, golden egg is also having a direct link with creation and so forth as well. Now, the bull thing was very interesting. So that is one aspect I want to also speak. And Dr. Pai also shared about how Nandi can be linked with Shiva and all that. So famously, if you go to any Shiva temple, they always recommend to worship Ganesha first, then go to Nandi, and only after that go to Shiva and all that. What's they recommend actually. So there used to be an order like that. So you would always go to the sub-deities first, all around the temple, then you would go inside the temple, then you would go to, and within specific deities also you do that. So you'll go to Ganesha, then you'll go to the other deities. Only after that you'll go to the main deity. So the idea being, like when you have all this extra problematic energies, first you will go to the all Tamoguna dominant deities outside like Kali or Ayyappa or whatnot to clear away Saturn karma and all that. And only after that you enter into the inner sanctum, and there within the sanctum also you go ideally to Ganesha first and all that, and then you remove some more heavier karma, and then you go to the main deity is one of the things they say. Now, but in Shiva temple, you'll always find a Nandi statue. So wherever you find a Nandi statue, there is a Shiva temple. It is guaranteed there is a Shivling. Very good chance for that. And interestingly, you find different configurations also. Some Nandis are looking sideways, some it's a curved Nandi. All that has its own specific things also from that perspective. Now, the bull aspect is also very strong. So they say now many times when it was interesting, Dr. Pai was telling the argument between scientists and also forth. So sometimes when people meditate, they get all this megalomaniac kind of thing, right? So like I'm Shiva kind of thing and all that argument. They say what happened? That is a real possibility in Rohini also, because definitely moon is getting exalted in Taurus sign. So then mind as a fertile mind, a fertile imagination mind is very, very strong in here actually. So I think it was UG mentioned she found a lot of, in one of her research apparently, a lot of killers had, murderers had Rohini also, a lot of saints also had Rohini. So it was supposedly one of the things she was finding. So whatever you plant in Rohini will grow. That is guaranteed to grow. So you should make sure your mental purification is always happening, no matter what. So if you are a Shiva, the first karma is that with a bull. So are you able to make a bull calm down completely? Now, sometimes you will actually see people in Rohini like who are spending a lot of time in farms, especially in US and all that, or in Spain and all that. They might be keen on the bullfighting kind of thing. They'll have that as a craze, you know. So you'll find that kind of thing. They might be linked with bull. They might link with calming bull. That kind of aspect can become very strong. That's a very interesting aspect also. So there with bull. Now the bull can also be, there can be karma of the bull. So if you have malefic planet in Rohini, definitely you can claim a bull was harmed, a bull was killed, a bull was worked to death. All that kind of karma you can predict. Maybe with about a benefic, you can say a blessing of a bull. Now, there is a very famous story of even a Shiva temple where apparently the final installation was not happening because apparently they needed one pure Shiva devotee to show up and offer the ring the bell or something like that. So apparently the story and this, I think this is the Chidambaram temple, if I'm not mistaken. I forget which temple it could be. Forgive me, but the story goes that the king, even the king, the great king could not was present. Everyone was present. All the Brahmins and all that were present, but the temple installation could not happen. Finally, like it was when a lady who came and offered some flower or something like that, the flower from her hand when it fell upon that shivling, then the installation happened. So the story goes that then the lady was clearly verified to be the purest devotee there. So apparently the lady would actually feed the bulls that would carry the stones to the Shiva temple. The bulls were given water by the lady. So this is pointing to this important karma of giving water to thirsty people, giving water to thirsty animals. I mean, in India and all that summer heat was happening pretty bad actually, even now also in some parts. So that part, giving water to someone, is an exceptional karma that can be done to purify a lot of things, especially to birds, especially to animals, especially to farm animals, which is something that can be very, very important actually. So bulls and all that giving water, making sure water thing is there and so forth can become very, very good thing. And remember, we are still in Rohini, which is moon's Multragon portion actually in Taurus. So which is very, very important. So water-based karma becomes very important. Now the other aspect is which is I remember I knew someone who had a planet in Rohini. Her moon was in Rohini actually. And the Kerala astrologer was telling to this person's father, this was like at least 2 generations ago kind of thing. This grandfather was being told, look, your daughter has Rohini, make sure she has married, let her have as many children as she wants. So this tendency to procreate especially, to have a lot of children can become very strong. So definitely, you can see Daksha Prajapati himself had 27 Nakshatra child and all that, 60 daughters and all together also. So this potential to have a lot of children, a lot of ideas, a lot of creativity, they can be extremely creative. So many times I've seen these natives can be very much inclined towards creative field, or in the field they are in, they'll have to be involved in some kind of creativity. And the creativity energy can be very, very strong for them. from that perspective. And definitely, they can have more children also from that perspective. So that karma with having a lot more children, karma with very creative ideas. Now, of course, if you create an idea, that idea is like your child. You want to see it grow, you want to see it develop. It could be a product, it could be a design, it could be an artwork, it could be a company, whatever it be. So that company growth or that product growth and all that can happen. However, the other thing is that thing Dr. Pai mentioned in his old video. So the Brahma did fall in love. So Brahma did create Saraswati, but he lusted after Saraswati also, who was his creation actually. Now the story of creation also has one aspect where supposedly he was chasing Saraswati, and Saraswati would change herself into many forms of animals and so forth, and different animals were actually formed like that. So and then, of course, that's when the gods became angry and Shiva eventually showed up also. Like Rudra was created by the anger of the gods. Rudra immediately chopped off Brahma's head, seeing this kind of act actually. So this kind of problematic thing, like this infatuation with your creation, being blinded by your creation. You have an idea, but you forget all sense of morality and all that, right? So you create a company, you forget all kind of ethics and all that. You might even have like what do you call it, this you might create an art, but you're like I don't care what happens to the actors or whatnot, things like that. So that's a real that kind of karma also these Rohini Nakshatra natives will have to watch out. And quite often you'll see, just like how we saw the Orion, the constellations linked with Rohini, you can also see a corresponding karmic link between Rohini Nakshatra, Mrigashira Nakshatra and Ardha Nakshatra. So quite often the Ardha Nakshatra native will be the one who is cutting the head of a Rohini Nakshatra native. And good chance the Rohini Nakshatra native will be together with the Mrigashira Nakshatra native as well. Because Mrigashira is the chasing Saraswati aspect, which you see. So the Saraswati is actually quite often linked with the Mrigashira and so forth. So that is also one more thing I wanted to highlight. Now, the other thing which Aditya and Dr. Pai mentioned about Jamun and all that. So those are an interesting remedy, they say, to make money if you are lacking money kind of thing. So one of the things they say was to, I learned it from a client actually. This client was actually not having any legal thing coming. This was a lawyer client. So she was like wanting to get some legal thing. So no cases coming. So she was actually advised apparently to put milk upon the Jamun tree like 12 days in a row, like 2 weeks in a row kind of thing was given. So if you think about astrology, it makes perfect sense. Rohini is going to Taurus Rashi, Moon is getting exalted there. You put milk upon Jamun tree, that wealth is coming into your life very easily. Just the natural second house of the zodiac. So you can see that kind of aspect going on. Now, the other aspect is the actual animal which was linked with Rohini, which is the serpent. So I have seen, now this is a very interesting thing as well. Like in Kerala and all that, you see a lot of snakes, killing a snake and all that is usually karma with snakes, and the Nagadosh or Sarpadosh kind of thing is usually predicted based on the malefics with Rahu Ketu. Sun with Rahu Ketu, Mars with Rahu Ketu axis, whatever, right? Shani with Rahu Ketu axis. Usually a karma is that a snake was harmed with the planetary level. However, at the nakshatra level, because the yoni is that of Naga, the serpents, if a malefic planet is placed in Mars and Shani, like Mars, Shani, Rahu, Ketu, or Sun even, or malefic planets, Drishti is also happening upon Rohini and Mrigashira, I've seen that they have harmed a snake. A harm has happened upon, that malefic karma has happened upon a snake. And then I have to recommend them now. Ashlesha definitely without doubt. Ashlesha deity itself is Naga. But the yoni, right, the animal aspect of Rohini and Mrigashira is definitely Nagas, right?
Aspects happen in Rohini, Mrigashira, or Aslesha, or maybe.
Exactly correct. Exactly correct. So yeah, so if the aspect is also happening, I've seen, I asked them, okay, was there a snake killed by a family? Did the security guard kill your snake in your own compound or something? And definitely that karma will play out. So then upon verification, I found that many times if there is a malefic planet in Saturn or Rohini, like or any kind of planet in Rohini or Mrigashira, even including Ashlesha also, as Aditya pointed out, there can be a potential where a snake was harmed. That if a snake is harmed, that Kerala and all that very famous Sarpashanti puja might have to be done. You might have to do the Sarpadosh Nivaran puja and all that. You might have to go to Trimbakeshwar, or you might have to go to Kukke Subramanian temple. Or you might have to do to Nagapadishta and all that, Sarpa Samskara kind of thing. So all the Sarpashanti rituals might have to be done at the nakshatra level, because the karma is happening at the nakshatra level. That's something I've seen again and again. And this is something I have to warn also. Like if you have a snake, don't kill it. Like just dance over. It's like what Krishna did, allow the Kaliya to go away, right? So allow that to happen. So that's a very, very important thing actually. I've seen this becoming very, very important thing going, and that could affect a lot of wealth, The mothers in the families are not happy. That kind of karma you'll see happening a lot also because of that. So the karma of Nagas is a very, very strong thing. The karma of Sarpas also, I've seen a strong thing happening in Rohini. Now, definitely, it was very fascinating when Dr. Pai was describing, how the sperm goes to the egg and how it goes. It literally looks like a snake also, which is a Naga. And then the head is also eaten, which is like a Rahu kind of information, which was taken by the ovum kind of thing also, which was the egg kind of thing also, which was very interesting actually, because you're seeing that serpentine energy even at that creation level. So it's also something to think about, something worthwhile also, something very deep also to think about. Now, so that is one aspect. Now, the other thing I came across something very recently was to basically, so second house is also the house of food. So you can see Aditya was having food recently, right now. So he's still having food. So now interesting thing is that with food, right? They say if you, there's an actual thing called as, I think it's called a Chavana Tarpan or something like that. I forget the name, in which you actually, you bite or eat, you chew your food 40 times, at least 40 times you chew your food until that food completely becomes water. So the solid food has completely become water in your mouth, and then you drink it. Drink that water. That's the remedy. So usually they say when you actually have your food quickly, that you do not digest the food properly and all that. But when you completely make it water in the mouth, so you are taking your time to chew, taking your time to eat and all that, which makes sense. This is an earth sign. And you will actually, so I met someone who was actually doing that. They were telling they actually not only enjoy their food more, they also took their time and they actually began to digest food. And not only that, their weight loss also started to happen. So talk about the moon being exalted in Taurus. So like when you're actually taking your time to eat, when you're actually making it watery and then you're consuming it, it might be very beneficial. Now again, that's also a very interesting thing, and that's a very good thing. Now, good chance that if you have a planet in Taurus,
Looks
very good
like
chance
a
that
lot of shani thing. Slowly
exactly correct.
food and then again eating food, and then it's like, shani.
Exactly correct. So Shani is the ninth house, ninth lord, without doubt, 10th house also. Definitely they are doing that. They have to do karma of Shani. They have to do things in a slow manner. They have to approach things in a very steady manner. Exactly that. Shani is exactly that. Very, very interesting. So clearly, so that is one thing I've seen that helps. Now, the other aspect I want to say was that there are other names which could be, and of course, the food is one thing. The other aspect is that because you're in Taurus, the Nakshatra Lord is Moon, and the God is also Prajapati. Venus is the Rashi Lord, and so forth. So this karma with flowers is something I've seen. So usually when someone says I'm not getting married or something, I'll ask them, okay, are you growing any flowers in your home? So there is no Venus in your home. So of course there is no Venus in your home. How could you get married, right? So, but at the same time, I've seen when you actually have some flowers in your home, like lily, which is usually linked with Venus, or any white colored flowers and so forth. And this magic of flowers is pretty amazing here. So I think one thing when Dr. Pai was mentioning, and I think when Aditya was mentioning about the Pushkara Baga and all that, so the blue lotus being the prominent flower was very, very interesting. So the flower aspect I've seen can become very, very powerful for this native. So sometimes Dr. Pai also mentioned one blue lotus was the legendary flower with many people would wait and so forth. So putting in effort to grow a particular flower can be very, very powerful, especially like flowers like lotus flowers. Now you can grow lotus flower in a tube and all that. I've seen people do that. You can have a tube, watery tube, don't have a lake or pond or anything, but you can have a tube and you grow in the lotus flower in that. Extremely powerful. To have a lotus flower blooming in your home itself is considered to be a lot of gods and goddesses visiting your home.
Blue
Actually.
lotus. You see, blue again is shani. Blue.
Exactly correct. Yeah, exactly. That's interesting. Yeah. So that's also the, so this karma flowers, growing flowers, having flowers. Now flowers can be eaten. Now used to be when you at least in Kerala and all that, when you get flower as prasad and all that from temples, you can put the temple flowers in the water and you can drink that flower. Now, apparently there was a controversy these days because there was one of the flower was a poisonous flower that was being used in puja, and then when people would put it and they would die and all that. But the usual red flowers and all that, like all the techi and all that, you can put that in water and then you can drink that flower. Very normal thing, and people would consume those flowers also. So drinking flower-based teas, flower-based food and all that is very relevant in Taurus as a Rashi, but it can be very strongly seen here also. So flower-based remedies I've seen.
Even in
Now,
mosque, they give that rose, dried rose.
Yeah, rose also. Yeah, exactly. Correct. So rose is definitely having that Venus quality. Definitely. Usually flowers are also sprinkled with water to kept fresh. That moon kind of thing also you can see from that aspect also. Now, all the moon rule nakshatras are very interesting because if you carefully look at the deities of the moon rule nakshatras, which would be Rohini Nakshatra, Shravana Nakshatra, and Hasta Nakshatra. So Rohini Nakshatra is linked with Prajapati, which can be Brahma. The Shravana Nakshatra is linked with Vamana Avatar, which is linked with Vishnu. Now, Hasta Nakshatra is linked with Savitur, which can be potentially linked with Surya, which can eventually be linked with Shiva as well. So you're seeing the Trimurti aspect playing out in the moon rule nakshatra actually, which is very fascinating. So that is one interesting thing. And you could eventually claim that just like how Rohini Nakshatra, definitely the Ardha Nakshatra is strongly linked with Shiva, but Savitur link from a creative aspect could be very, very interesting to think about. So definitely these nakshatra natives can be excellent with mantra chanting also without doubt. They can be very good with mantra. Second house of mantras. In my opinion, second house can also be considered with house of mantras, not just fifth house, because second house is Kendra to the fifth house. The 10th house from the fifth house of the karmas of the fifth house of intelligence or mantra shastra. So second house can also be looked for mantras in my opinion. So it is very interesting. Now, from a mantra perspective, again, I hate to say this, to be generic also, but if you have malefic planet here at some point in time, that particular planetary mantra needs to be chanted. So like Shani Mars mantra or Rahu mantra or Ketu mantra, either you'll have to do those mantras and so forth. Now, the same time, the other interpretation here is that any planet placed in second house of Taurus or especially in Rohini, that particular god or goddess in your home, that god or goddess in your home, that god should be given food on a regular basis, especially if you have that planet in Taurus kind of thing, without doubt. Because Taurus is the second house of food. If you're not giving food to the deity, that is a problem for your wealth. That is what will happen. Now, usually Annam used to be linked with the wealth in general. So pray for Annam and Annapurneshwari and all that standard for wealth also along with food. So at least give me food so that I can survive. So that is Annapurneshwari's job. But I've seen when the gods in the home is not getting food, that can also affect well. So if you have a statue, it is mandatory you'll have to give some fruits every day. Now people also I've seen this also a problem. Like people give dried fruits, which is also a problem because that is Shani. People might get processed fruit, which is not great, which is Rahu. But ideally, it is good if you can give fresh fruit. If you make food and all that, that's good. Mukir and all that, that's great. So usually giving sweet food is always recommended. If you give spicy food, you will get spicy results back. So usually you want to burn. So the black sesame is usually burned in Ganapati Homa. You used to burn away your problems. You do not give Ganesha black sesame seeds, ball and all that. You never give that. That's like telling Ganesha, give me more Saturn. So just be mindful of that. So sometimes I've seen this mistake with food has happened. Common problem I've seen is that usually if you give salt having food containing salt to a god, eventually the god will give you salt back, which is like tears or Saturn back. You don't want that. Some people would give you rice, which is cooked in the home, but in temples, all that when they give you rice, there is no salt in it. In your home, we use the normal rice, you put some salt and you do it. But when you keep that salt having rice, problem will follow. So make sure food without salt is given.
And
So
then
Saturn,
there are some deities which are, they give alcohol and all,
yeah, that is those each deities you'll have to give them whatever they like. That is the default thing. Ganesha you'll have to give modaks. But in general, the safe choice always is fruits and sweet items. But sweet also, just be mindful if you can. So like as I mentioned, so usually like you can always give now even nuts also. Nuts can be consumed a lot, but when you give nuts to a god, it's equivalent to like that you're giving something that will grow in future actually, if that makes sense. So rather than giving fruit, which you can eat very quickly, right? So fruit minimum giving fruit every day, I can really encourage that. That will increase wealth. I've seen that. There's a specific problem with Taurus actually. Any planet in Taurus, that deity will have to be given food. The food is not given to the deity, can be the karma. So that is one aspect. Now the other karma which we briefly touched about is the name aspect. So of course names with Rohini, people whose name is Rohini can definitely have Rohini karma without doubt. That can actually happen. So other names which can also potentially link with Rohini is like names like Rohan, names like Ratan. Now the Rat aspect is also the chariot, names having the chariot name. So you'll find those kind of names also. So like you'll find some names like Wansfield and all that kind of thing. So the names having that symbol name also. So Rat name, Ratan, Then even the name like Rati, Ratika and all that, that can also carry this particular Rohini karma, to be frank. They by name, by virtue of the name, in my opinion, because that symbology of the chariot symbology is coming into their name. So they'll have to watch out. This Rohini karma can happen. So when they go to Somnath and all that, a lot of good things can come into life, stuff like that can be predicted. The other thing which was interesting is that there is a, when I think Dr. Pai mentioned Surabhi, so there is a mudra called Surabhi mudra also. So Surabhi is the wish fulfilling cow. So you do the mudra like this actually. You touch your fingers like this. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, a lot of rings in my hand. But anyway, you can see this particular thing. You can see the, if you can figure this out, this is a Surabhi mudra. If you search for it, it's a pretty good thing. Complicated mudra. So it's supposed to be completion of all the elemental offerings to the god. So you're kind of giving the full elemental offerings to a god. Very good mudra to work on. Good for wealth and all that. That kind of thing. Now, the other thing I want to highlight was the creative aspect, which is very, very strong. So they can definitely be creative. They can be excellent artists, excellent musicians. One way or the other, I encourage them to definitely be involved in some kind of creative field or have a creative outlet for them. Engage in some dance, engage in some poetry, engage in some music, engage in some kind of a creative thing, which will actually calm their mind down a lot. Now, the other aspect is also here, this is the nakshatra where this is the natural second house of Taurus, natural second house of the zodiac, which is connected with history. So you will find these natives love history a lot. So again, the same thing as I mentioned, Kritika Nakshatra also, the love for Puranas can be very strong. Love for what happened in World War, why did this war happen? All that kind of thinking is very strong for these natives actually. And that can be very important also for these natives. Because history is what eventually ends up repeating itself. If you carefully look at it, the historical karma is what actually plays out. So definitely if leaders and all that who are not following histories and all that, definitely without doubt that history will keep on repeating. If you not follow the history of your family, the same mistakes will be repeated again across, across generations also. So it becomes very, very important thing. The historical knowledge becomes very, very important thing. Now, the other interesting thing, which I think it was EVG who mentioned this particular point, which is very fascinating actually. So this is a very unique nakshatra as far as Brahma is concerned. I think if you look at Ashwini Nakshatra becomes the Brahma, first Brahma Nakshatra. Then you have the next Vishnu Nakshatra, which is Bharani. And the third Shiva Nakshatra, which is Kritika. Then after that, you're having again a Brahma Nakshatra happening in Rohini. So here you're seeing a Brahma's energetic evolutions. And what EVG was telling was that you see initially Brahma created Ashwin Kumars or like the Sanat Kumaras kind of thing. And then I think Brahma created Prajapati. I think then you are seeing the sequence of the Brahma's creations also can be traced through the Brahma Nakshatras in general, which was very interesting observation actually. And there's a lot of depth to it also. You can go into that. Now, the other aspect is that we are still in Taurus Rashi and we are in the exaltation sign for moon ruled by Venus. Two feminine planets, strong influence is very, very strong. So for these natives, worship of goddesses can be extremely, extremely important. To worship of Matas, worship of mother goddesses, especially worship of Annapuneshi, worship of Parvati, Gauri becomes very, very important. Worship of Durga also has some importance here. So usually I've seen they are naturally inclined towards the goddess paths, all the Shakta paths, definitely worship towards the Sri Vidya and all that becomes very, very relevant for these natives. I've seen they are very quickly drawn to all these goddesses like Lakshmi and all that and so forth. Very easily they'll get a lot of blessings also when they do the goddess worship. And that's definitely if you're an exalted moon, good benefic in Taurus, Venus and so forth, Jupiter also here. Worship of the goddesses can be extremely, extremely powerful. That's also one more thing I cannot recommend enough. The other, so in fact, you find other culture goddesses like you have the Isis as a Isis, though now it's like a terror organization name. The ancient Egyptian goddess name was Isis actually. So that particular goddess is very, very powerful. There are these river goddesses in Africa and all that called by the name Oshun, which make perfect sense because the O sound is there with the Rohini and all that. So you could see that. So the goddess energy having this sound is very, very strong also. And now of course, the one point I want to say was the sound also, which Aditya highlighted. So in fact, you will see Rohini women to be some of the most attractive women out there. So one famous brand is Victoria's Secret. Usually their modeling thing is what you find actually. Victoria's Secret, very prominent models and all that is what you find there. So the V sound usually is linked with all this fashion kind of element very strongly. People who have a V name will always go for great branded clothes and all that kind of thing. And name Victoria also. Now, usually moon is exalted here, so the energy of the queen energy is very strong here. So one of the most successful British Empire queens was Victoria. So she expanded her empire and all that a lot. You can see that particular karma a lot. Also, the name V linked with empire karma. Now, that is also the other aspect. So because they have so much affinity towards having children and extension of the family, they'll do anything to get their children to get pregnant or their children to give them grandchildren. That kind of thing also I've seen. So usually you will see that, okay, can you tell me when I'll have a grandchild, or what is the wait for me to get my grandchild? All that particular thing is typically you see with Rohini karma, Rohini Nakshatra natives also. So they want to be a grandmother. They want to see the next generation of creation happening within their family. That kind of thing can become very strong.
It's
Now the
interesting.
go ahead.
We said Victoria's Secret and
Yeah.
Victoria V, and it's a red color. I just found it was founded. It was on June 12, 1977.
Yeah.
Jupiter was in Rohini.
Yeah.
And June 12, that is, I'm still on June 12. So no, I just passed 12:01 a.m. now.
Yeah.
Dr. Pai, you are on June 12 now. So today is Victoria's Secret's birthday. June
Okay.
12. So
Okay, the companies, yeah.
And Jupiter today went in Rohini.
Yeah.
For us, and Jupiter was in Rohini when Victoria's Secret, June 12, 1977. I'm just looking at Google.
Yeah, definitely. So the names
Birthday of
like the
Victoria's
sun,
Secret.
yeah. So the names definitely the Va sound is the Rohini Pada 2 sound, which is
I did
the
not
which
got
Dr.
that in my analysis when I was doing. Yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot Victoria. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so you can see that. So the other thing, the names like the famous composer Vivaldi. I mean, without doubt, he had to have that big musical thing. Without doubt, the name itself carries so much V sound. It had to have that musical thing. So you could see that he had to create that kind of thing and so forth. And Vivaldi's thing is very classic. It's like, so these natives can become classic. They are remembered a lot. Things like that. That can be very strong, as Aditya mentioned. These brands can be important. All that. Now, there is one more thing I want to end my discussion. So this I want to basically share the Pai Padidi aspect of of this of the Rohini thing, in which you can see Moon is getting exalted in the first house here. Moon is getting debilitated in the seventh house, and Moon is the third lord as well. So definitely they'll have. Remember, Venus as a Rashi Adipati is getting exalted in the 11th house. So Krishna, just like how Krishna had elder brother Balram, these natives are more likely to have elder siblings from that perspective. And definitely challenges with marriage. So Krishna's marriage energy of Rukmini was not smooth energy. He had to go fight it out. Mars energy house there before his marriage and all that. So that kind of aspect. And definitely a moon gets debilitated here, which is what you're seeing here. A moon is getting exalted here, and moon's Multakun is happening here. So marriage karma and family karma, challenges with mother-in-law, challenges because of mother for your marriage, challenges of your family for marriage, all those permutation combination of moon and seventh house kind of possibilities can happen. And definitely the spouse can have secretive, spouse can be secretive, they might tend to be secretive with their spouse. All that karma can also happen here also. Now the other aspect which was here, which is the other thing, which is the big thing I want to highlight, was that this is also according to Parashara Rishi, exaltation point of Rahu is also happening here actually. So Rahu gets exalted here. So quite often you will see they might also be quickly willing to lie very quickly, like quickly willing to deceive others also. Because let me put it this way: you're engaging creation. I won't say they are natural liars, but they'll have to watch out for a tendency much more than the other people, to be frank, because Rahu is getting exalted here. And that karma of Rahu being here can become very, very strong as well. Rahu is getting exalted here, getting debilitated in the seventh house, and its Multragon is considered to be Cancer. Again, similar energies of moon patterns actually what you're seeing, but Rahu now is the 10th lord. So here you can see this karma of Rahu creating more into this world, bringing more of that materialistic energy, activating that energy more, becomes very, very powerful. And it's very interesting also. Brahma in many cases considered to be the most sattvic among the Trimurtis actually. He is the one, well, according to some principles at least. So Brahma, some sampradayas, Brahma is very sattvic. So he's creating the most everything into all the Rajaguna and Tamaguna levels also from that perspective. So you see this perspective of Rahu getting exalted. So many times Rahu, the planet linked with Sarpas also. You can see this karma with Sarpas because of that. You can also see the karma with, generational karma, the history's karma is becoming very relevant here. The ancestral karma is becoming more relevant here. Karma, the historical enemies. Rahu can also be enemies whom you have to confront, the enemies you have to defeat. All that kind of karma you can see here. The other way, one easier way to look at it is that whatever is going to happen to Somnath temple with the karma of the land. So these could be the families to whom which will definitely affect, the eventual land and all that, that kind of thing. So if you are in a one family is getting a problem, then the rest of the other families in the land is eventually going to get those kind of problems. That kind of predictions can be made here also. Now, of course, if you look at this chart, you can clearly identify Krishna's life, how he had an enemy. He had a karma to defeat his uncle. Venus, the Rashi Lord, gets debilitated in fifth house in his chart. Venus also the sixth Lord in the chart also of uncles. Gets debilitated in Virgo, which is a sign of enemies, natural sixth house of the enemies. All that you can see. Krishna also was famously had to give philosophy when battle was going on. So he was teaching. Jupiter gets debilitated in ninth house from Taurus. So the Bhagavad Gita, the knowledge of Karma Yoga was given by Krishna. He became a Jagat Guru at that point in time, the Guru for the entire world by sharing the knowledge in when it was Capricorn and all that. So all that kind of thing also you can see. Krishna, it was very interesting when Dr. Pai also mentioned flute aspect also. So 10th house from Rohini is actually having Dhanishta and Satyabhisha. Dhanishta is definitely the flute for sure. So it's a very interesting thing to think about in terms of flute and all that. So definitely like the second house is definitely from having Gemini sign. So that is one air sign. So more tendency for them to play the air instruments kind of thing like flute potentially could be there. But at the same time, musical thing is very strong for them anyway. So that's a big thing. The other thing was that, so that's the other thing also. Like let's put it this way. Sun gets exalted in 12th house for this native in the sign of Aries. So these natives are more likely to dance in a party more than others actually. So from that perspective, so they want to be seen dancing, that kind of thing. You might see also from that perspective. The other aspect, as I mentioned here, is default karma children. So you can see Mercury exalts in the fifth house. So Mercury being a benefic planet linked with the fifth lord and second lord. So good chance they might be born into money also. They might have some decent money in the family, good money in the family kind of thing. Mercury is the second lord, which is a benefic graha. That kind of thing can also be seen. Now, Saturn being a 9th house and 10th house, there can be a real karma with the guru kind of thing also. Important karma with the guru seva kind of thing can happen for this native because it's falling in the 9th house. But ups and downs with gurus can also be seen because the natural Sagittarius is going to the 8th house also, which is a natural sign for guru. And Jupiter gets debilitated here. So some challenges can also come at the same time. So these kind of, this is a very interesting thing also. And definitely you can do the analysis, extended analysis more. Saturn getting exalted in 6th house is the 9th lord. So Krishna's birth was definitely to clear out the karma of with his uncle and all that. That kind of thing you can see. And Krishna had a default karma, which is his mother's side of the family. All that you can see going on a very strong way. And definitely Krishna, interestingly, it's very fascinating because Krishna's death himself was by a hunter. So Ardra and Rohini Nakshatra did play out. So his feet was eventually hunted by this thing, right? Like the hunter, I forget the name of the hunter who killed Krishna. I suppose it was even they say it was Shiva's avatar or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. Some story like that was also there. But anyway, the hunter, it was Krishna's feet that led to his death. But it was like the Ardra and Rohini theme which played out. The hunter with the Orion, the hunter who actually mistook Krishna for a bird, and then finally he got. Though supposedly famously legendary thing is that this is also very interesting thing. Krishna was apparently there was some story in which a rishi had poured a lot of a lot of paisam or like a lot of kheer upon Krishna. Hot kheer was poured or something like that. Some story was like that was there. When a rishi, Bhrigu rishi or someone poured that thing, I forget which rishi. Apparently, because Krishna was patient and he hosted the guest in a very patient manner, he was blessed by the rishi that okay, because you hosted me and you did not, you handled my horrible action of pouring hot here on your body in graceful manner. Whatever body part was touched by the here will never harm you ever. You'll never be attacked by any weapon there actually. However, because you are standing on his 2 foot, the feet was the only portion where the kheer could not have happened. If he maybe he danced a bit or made sure the kheer was applied on his feet, he might have survived, but he deliberately did not do that. So that particular thing you're seeing interestingly from that perspective. Now, this is a very interesting story also. So if you look at that also, the feet of Krishna is going to Aries sign, which is the exaltation point of sun, which is our ego actually. So Rohini Nakshatra natives definitely will have an ego problem without a doubt. They already have a default karma, their creations and so forth anyways. So these nakshatra natives will have to watch out because at some point in time their head will get cut off, without doubt. So they'll have to watch out in general. That's a big thing. Now that's one thing they'll have to, in general, be aware about also, in my opinion. The other thing I wanted to say was that I think Krishna's story also could become very relevant, in which he was also taken away from home, right? So he had to, he was separated from his birth mother kind of thing initially. The sun being the fourth lord kind of thing, a malefic planet. So this karma to be away potentially from the home for usually early boarding education or school or even for studies and all that can also happen. Now, this is what I have to share on Rohini actually. So, any points anyone would like to discuss or anything like that? Concluding points, Dr. Pai?
It's interesting you mentioned
Yeah.
about Libra sign, correct? I
Yeah.
forgot to say this, but yeah. See, Libra sign is wherever you have in the chart. Whoever, everyone will
Yeah.
have Libra sign in some part of the chart, correct? Libra sign is a lot of misbalance, balance you have to do. For example, here in Rohini, you see the Libra is in the 6th house
Yeah.
for many people. Libra is in the 6th house in balance of relation with the relatives.
Yeah.
Maternal relatives, especially.
Mhm.
Like for Aries, it will be what? Libra will be in the 7th house. So gone.
Yes.
Marriage issues. Second sign, Taurus, it will be in the 6th house. Issues
Yeah.
with maternal relatives. For
Mhm.
third, it will be in the 5th house, children.
Yeah.
Fourth, if it is Cancer Lagna or Cancer sign and all, it will be in the 4th house, especially
Yeah.
with, like, I know each example with each sign I'm remembering.
Yeah. Right. Right.
So like that. Now, if Libra Lagna, problem with themselves, balance for them.
Really. Yeah.
So wherever Libra sign is there, it's basically, I think most of them will be knowing it. You need a balance of that. So for Rohini natives, it falls on the 6th house. So balance, balancing maternal relatives has to be established.
Yeah. Maternal relatives for sure. 6th house also the house for debts, diseases. What are
Yes.
their food habits? What are
Creations.
they working out regularly? Creations, exactly. 6th house also the house of enemies also. Are you creating enemies? That kind of thing. The karma of the enemies, balance with the enemies, as you said. Very good point.
So it's competition, competitors. All
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah, being
it's like
balanced.
basically it's like what Lagna you get, and then you can say.
Right. Yeah. Similarly, they say wherever Pisces falls in a chart, you'll make a mistake. That's what they say because it's the same thing. So Pisces is always the natural 12th house of the zodiac. So some kind of loss or more likely to make a mistaken thing. So they always recommend to get a third opinion, second opinion kind of thing with regard to Pisces matters actually, which is interesting actually.
You will be
They recommend.
confused there because
Exactly correct.
debilitation sign of Mercury. And wherever
Exactly correct.
Scorpio, actually, I was talking to Kapil just 2 days back or a day back. Wherever
Yeah.
Scorpio is, that is gone. You have
Yeah.
Scorpio, wherever Scorpio, because Scorpio sign falls, that is gone. That will be struggle will be there related to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scorpio in 3rd house, struggle with writing and all those things will be there. Communication. Scorpio in 5th house, struggle with relations, partnerships and all.
Yeah.
Wherever
So,
Scorpio is, it is because we know Scorpio is lost,
all right.
hidden.
Yeah. Definitely. So I think the Shani Venus link is very powerful also. So Nadi astrology, Shani Venus link is famous for a lot of money making people. But here you are seeing a very interesting thing also. Shani become 9th lord, 10th lord. Venus is the 1st lord and 6th lord also. Now, definitely the 6th house karma, usually in general, it is always cautioned to be take debts and all that. So typical problem I see with business people is that they might make profit in one business, and they take debts of that business from like whatever, right? They try to put that money into another business, then they try to take debt for the original business, assuming the money from the first business and all that. So this typical balancing two businesses kind of karma can also happen, which is something they might have to watch out for in general. Or problems is it might not be a smooth thing going on whenever that is done actually. So it's one of those things I've seen. Those kind of karma, those kind of problematic karma also might happen. But anyway, anything you would like to add further, Aditya or Dr. Pai?
Let's see.
Yeah, and I think Aditya brought in a very good point. I just wanted to highlight on the point that you mentioned about looking at rashis. This is Like Aditya mentioned about Libra. Libra is Tula. Tula is balance, right? Now, look at any Taurus rising people. They would have to bring balance, as you both mentioned, related to the maternal side. And Krishna, being a Taurus rising and Taurus moon, he had to deal with Shishupal. Shishupal was his, aunt's, maternal aunt's child, which he gave 100 chances to rectify himself. The 101st one, he was killed by Krishna. So he had given multiple chances for that. The same thing. See Sri Rama's chart. So Sri Ram would be Cancer rising to Cancer moon. So obviously the fourth house, something to do with his mother, which means Kaikeyi, his foster mother or his mother, had wanting him to go. So every little thing that you can see that way. So the same thing if you see with the something that you said, Santhip also mentioned with the aspect of Pisces. Now, what is Pisces? Pisces is you'll have to go through a lot of cycles in your life back and forth. Why? It's two fish going after each other. The head of one fish is going towards the tail. That the head of the other fish is going towards the other fish's tail. So it is like it's in circulation. What you put, karmas in circulation, birth, death, reincarnation, all of that. Now, you know that Krishna and Balarama had very cordial relationships till the time when Balarama had a huge misunderstanding with Krishna is how Duryodhana was killed. See, in Gada Yuddha, in the fight with the mace, because Balarama is the teacher of both Bhima as well as Duryodhana in terms of using the mace, which is the Gada. And he has very clearly said, if you are my students, you will never make any flaws. Because what he sees is finally, Krishna shows the thighs, which is below the belt. You're not supposed to strike below the belt in Gada Yuddha. You can strike on the shoulders, the back, and other things, but not below. But Krishna instructing Bhima to, hit him on the thighs, which is the unprotective part. You can see that there is a thing there. So Taurus rising. So there is something that is going on in there. So likewise, you can see a lot of Rashis and you would be able to make interpretations. Whatever is hidden. Do you know what is hidden in Krishna's chart? Scorpio sign, everything is hidden. Everything about his seventh house was hidden. Seventh house means he has 8 wives. He couldn't marry his childhood sweetheart, Radha Rani, Srimati Radha Rani. He had, 16,100 gopis who were also his, the Ras Leela, because he has, released them from Narakasura. So he said, okay, you are like my wives now, because they said, okay, we have been kidnapped and we have kept. Now who will take us? Because our husbands have been killed. So Krishna said, don't worry, I will take care of you. So that is, but for a yogic parlance, you have to understand. Everybody thinks from the real stories. The yogic parlance means Krishna's each petal of the 1,000 lotuses which blossomed, 1,000 Sahasrara Chakra. So it is 16. He has 16 kalas. What is 16 kalas? Different phases of the moon. We have 16 phases of the moon. 14 of them waxing and waning, plus Amavasya and Purnima. So Krishna is said to be completely 16 kalas. Or he is also said to be 16 kalas. Kalas means art forms. Kala is the phases of the moon. Kalas means art forms. So he is said to be completely Purna, 16 kalas. So 16 into 1,000, how much is it? 16,000. Plus 108. 8 of his is his thing. So you understand that there is 1,000-petal lotuses which blossom. So that means his entire Ras Leela that he did was when he was age of 7 or 8 years old. Now people will say he has done a dance with 16,000 women, but they were all much elder to him. What will a 7-year-old boy be able to do? With the, who are doing, even Shiva was part of it. Shiva, the original Nataraja, the original dancer of the universe, he was very surprised. What is my, this child, 7-year-old, he's doing a Ras Leela on Ras Purnima. So he was so perplexed because he is the Kul Devata, right? I said Somanatha. He also disguised himself and he came as a gopi. Everybody looked at him and said, "You are Shiva." He was caught. There is still a temple in Vrindavan called as Gopeshwar Maharaj temple, which is where he came disguised as a gopi, Shiva. Because he's a descendant, right? His lineage. So he's saying, okay, what is this guy going to do, the 7-year-old? So understand, for a yogi, it means opening up of your Sahasrara Chakra, your Kundalini awakened master. So all of those people who danced with him were awakened masters. But it has been shown in a very different light. So very interesting points. And one of the points that you mentioned is the Rishi that you were talking about, Krishna. It was Durvasa Rishi. They were very afraid to do anything. Even Rukmini had served him very well. They removed the horses and they themselves, husband and wife, they pulled the chariot for Durvasa Rishi, because Durvasa is known for his quick anger and temperament. He can curse anybody very quickly. Very interesting, another point. He was, you mentioned, Santhip ji, that Krishna was shot by an arrow, which was a metallic arrow, by a hunter called as Jara. Now, who was Jara? Jara was nobody but a reincarnation of Vali from Ramayana. Because Rama had killed Vali from the hiding, so he said karma is going to, be fair enough. So that Vali who was killed by Rama from behind the tree became Jara, and he came and he thought it was a deer and he shot it. Now, for Rohini Nakshatra, you see, Bharani Nakshatra becomes the 26th Nakshatra. So, and Rohini, Bharani, we know, is the bottom of the feet also, isn't it? In the body parts, we say Ashwini is the top of the feet, and the bottom of the feet, or the sole, is Bharani Nakshatra. It's ruled by Yama. So that is where he was hit by the arrow. And then he left the body. And from the day he left, Kali Yuga started. Kali has entered and Kali Yuga started the day Krishna left. Dwapar Yuga was over as per the text, and Kali Yuga started.
Yeah, no, Dr. Pai, that was very fascinating. You mentioned Kali Yuga and all that. So I wonder, like, again, Rohini Nakshatra, you describe like end of an era and all that, right? That kind of thing.
Yes.
That kind of thing, more potential for that. So like companies also, you say, or this company, this end of this company, or and beginning era, all that kind of aspect.
Exactly. Now we have discussed this in the past as well with the Aditya. Now Aditya was mentioning now the vernal equinox is happening in Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra. If you really start looking at the themes, you will have a very clear understanding. See, Rama came first, Punarvasu. Okay, then it is Rohini, if you're moving backwards, Krishna. Then, we had, Buddha, Gautam Buddha. Who knows, maybe, and then we had other prophets also, like Jesus Christ and so many. Maybe many of these prophets who have come here might also have a connection with these nakshatras. So, who knows when the vernal equinox will come into Uttarashada? Maybe the last incarnation might also come, like I said to you. So You can also see that maybe the other, see, very, very fascinating. Now, one thing I will just tell you, and that itself should be enough for you. You can stop sharing the screen because I'll talk something about the Avataras of Vishnu. Which is the first avatar of Vishnu? Which is Matsya avatar, which is Ketu. Okay, what is the next avatar? Kurma, which is Saturn. What is the next avatar? Varaha, which is Rahu. What is the next avatar? Narasimha, Mars. Ketu, Saturn, Rahu, and Mars. What are those? All tamasic grahas.
Right.
They are all coming in the Satyuga.
Right.
Understand? So to combat with these, you'll have to go to the avatars, the first 4 avatars. Ketu, Saturn, Rahu, and Mars. They are all tamasic grahas. They are the one, the malefics we call them, right? Then the next one is Vamana avatar, which is Jupiter. First appearance of somebody who is like a guru who is appearing. Okay, benefic. What is our next after Jupiter? Parusharama. Isn't it? Venus. 2 gurus have followed. After so many malefics, Jupiter, Venus has come. Then Sri Rama, Sun. Shri Krishna, Moon. Okay. Gautama Buddha, Mercury. So who is left then? Ascendant. Ascendant is Kalki. Ascendant means their body. So can you see all the benefits are coming later on? All the avatars of the first 4 are all tamasic and natural malefics. Interesting, isn't it? 2 gurus have come in between, then it is Sun and Moon, which is avatar of Rama and Krishna. And then Buddha. Because after Moon only Buddha has been born. Because Buddha has come after Moon. Which is Mercury has come as a son of Moon. So he's come later.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. So basically Satyoga problems you'll need tamasic graha.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tamasic avatars are for Satyuga. Then we come to the Treta Yuga, which is, Jupiter, Venus, and Sun. Dwapar Yuga is Moon.
Yeah.
See, today I was reading an article that the Moon is moving at a pace of 3.8 centimeters every year away from Earth. What will happen, Swaram? If it is moving further and further and further, and how many, every year if it is 3.8 centimeters, will it really create that if Moon comes out of the Earth's, I don't know, astronomically, what is the principle? Because it is locked with the Earth. You can also see the Moon's phase is also locked with the Earth. We can only see one phase of the Moon. We cannot see the dark side of the Moon. Isn't it very fascinating? Which means it is locked with the Earth. Earth is moving and it is taking it along. Now, if it comes out of the gravitational force, what happens? I don't know how many million years it will take for it to completely come. But the equation that is there is keeping life here. The further the Moon starts going away from the Earth, what is going to happen?
That's what they say. We are not going to have total solar eclipse after a few million years.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. We might not have ever a total solar eclipse just because of the equation of the distance from the. Now it is perfectly placed between, so that we can see solar eclipses complete. Sorry, lunar eclipses, solar eclipses. And we don't know what is going to happen with the influence of Moon being less and less. Because Moon is the mind. And no doubt after this pandemic, everybody is realizing that is more, depression, anxiety, panic, phobias, fear, consciousness, everything.
Maybe all become mental. Maybe.
Exactly. We don't know, but the influence of the Moon. So Krishna has to come back, which means our realization is finally Kalki has to make you realize about your existence and self-realization, which is your Lagna.
Yeah, so one thing I want to add quickly, because I just forgot, was that one is that they say that there is this there was a recent controversy, like at least here close by, at least, well, I wouldn't call it controversy. There was like this thing they were telling, if you keep a statue with Krishna's flute in your home, that might make you more spiritual. So many people started removing flute from the Krishna statue. I mean, what, all right, people are like that, so it's like that. But interesting thing actually, but it was interesting. But the analogy was interesting. They say if you keep Krishna with the flute statue, your flute, the flute is similar to your spine apparently. So Krishna is like blowing that, Krishna is attracting you more towards spirituality, towards him is what the idea was. So that was the thing. So that was very interesting. So people, you'll see statues of Krishna having flute will make you drawn towards into deeper spirituality kind of thing and all that. Deeper yogic thing might eventually begin. That is one interesting thing. Other thing also I want to highlight was, which I forgot also, definitely the voice is very strong in Taurus actually. Like the voice can be very soft, very melodious kind of thing. So it could be like, sometimes we call it hypnotic voice and all that, so voice that can put you to sleep, voice that can make you relax. So Krishna might potentially have had very sweet voice. It was even attractive to women, attractive to all kinds of things. Even when Dr. Pai was mentioning gopis, older than Krishna was being drawn to him. So if you look at seventh house from Rohini, it's also following Jyeshta Nakshatra actually, which is elder women, So elder women being drawn to you can be a real Rohini Nakshatra problem also they might have to face.
Maybe like, they speak very, I know a few Rohini, they speak very nicely, very softly, very, but they know how to get work done.
Yeah.
So those tricks, see, Krishna also did the same, These
Yeah.
these people know how to get work done by just talking, hey, sir, how is this? Will you do all that things when I see Rohini's play? Very beautiful, very respectfully. They'll say, I don't know how much respect or how much thing they have concern for you, but they know how to get things done. So they can use that voice, that softness in voice, or their sweet speech to get the work done. That's an art. That's
Yeah.
a blessing
I think
for.
that is definitely the topmost art form, females, topmost feminine art form is
No,
just
even
using your voice to
I'm
get
talking
things
about
done.
male. This
Male
is
also, yes, of course. Yeah,
male.
definitely.
This guy is
Male or female,
I
that's an
know,
art form.
this person. So I'm Rohini Moon basically. Oh my gosh. But not no harm. Good guy. But he knows how to butter you and get the work done. And at the same time, you also know that he's doing okay, fine. like
Yeah.
yeah, I will be very harsh to my students and all. No one likes me probably, but, but it's all different traits. Life is life. When you see the life like that, life is like a theater you enjoy. And you're also
Yeah.
in that, in this whole drama.
Yeah, no. Also, what I think the butter thing is important. So if you can make your own milk and make your own butter and cheese and all that, great. If you can offer that to gods, also I've seen that's much more superior. So all that is great offerings you can give to Krishna and all that. Krishna was famously stealer of butters also. So like he would steal butter and all that from all the house. So that kind of thing is always good. I think Dr. Pai also mentioned the Krishna cradle form. So I think that's a Purafalguni thing also makes sense, because 4,000 from that is Purafalguni. So the cradle kind of thing for the Krishna makes perfect sense from that type of perspective also. That's great actually. Okay. So any final things? I think we have crossed a lot of points. This is also another long session actually. But any final points, Aditya or Dr. Pai?
No, I think we have covered pretty much everything. Just a final thing I want to say is, in the Navamsha, I think Aditya must have covered the four padas of Rohini Nakshatra would be covering between Aries to Cancer. So Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer would be the Navamsha. So naturally, what planets will be more suitable here? Sun gets exalted in Aries in the Navamsha, if you think. Moon gets exalted in Taurus. And Rahu also. You can probably, as you said, in Parashara astrology, or you can say even Gemini, if some people are taking Gemini, as some scholars and rishis have also mentioned. Then Jupiter gets exalted in Cancer. So if you see all these Sattvic grahas, Sun, Moon, Jupiter, and Rahu, okay, Rahu is not Sattvic, but it is. But look what planets are getting debilitated. Saturn gets debilitated in Aries, Navamsha, I'm talking about, right? Then Ketu gets debilitated in Taurus or Gemini, whatever you are considering. If Rahu gets exalted, then Ketu. And then Mars gets. So if you see all the tamasic grahas, which means Saturn, Ketu, and Mars, are getting debilitated here, which means they might not behave very well for the growth. Why Saturn in Rohini is dreaded? Because Rohini means growth, increment, elevation. But Saturn's Karaka will not allow it to elevate, because Saturn will bring a little bit, it will draw itself back, right? So naturally, Saturn's inherent quality is retraction, to stop something from growing, restriction. Mars, it will create wars. Krishna is the cause for that entire war to also happen. Now we think it is Kauravas, but it is all an interplay, right? Don't you think the one more important thing I want to say, Rahu is with Krishna. Why Rahu is with Krishna also is, do you know, there was a great warrior. Do you know who was the greatest warrior of Mahabharata, who has not gotten his due? Who is the greatest of the greatest warrior?
I think
Babruva.
it is Babruana, but I think in the end it is Krishna actually.
Exactly. It is, the name of that guy is Babrik, who is the son of Ghatotkacha. Because he had a boon that whichever side he joins and he starts fighting, he will fight with the weakest. And Barbaric is such that if he joins the ones which are, winning, he will kill everybody there and he will move there. So he will be the one who will be. So as soon as this team becomes, he will change his, go into the next team. Whichever is, he will always fight with the weakest. So when Barbaric is fighting, how can anybody be weaker? Because as soon as the stronger team starts becoming weaker, he will change sides. He will go and he'll start striking, against you yourself. So Krishna actually told him, I'm going to behead you. And he said, but I want to be seeing this great war. Okay, you have beheaded me because you don't want to participate with any of them. Ideally, what he would have done, he would have come to the Pandavas, because he is Ghatotkacha's son. Ghatotkacha is the son of Bhima. So Bhima's grandson. If he comes here, what happens? When these people start becoming stronger, he will change sides and he'll go to the Kauravas and he'll start killing the Pandavas. So he's a very dangerous guy. So they beheaded him and put him on the mountain top. And he watched the entire 18 days of Mahabharata sitting there. Finally, all the Pandavas, after they have seen, they go to Barbaric. And they say, who amongst the Pandavas do you consider, because you have seen the entire war, who's the greatest amongst us? He looks at everybody and he starts giving a laughter like Ravana, big laughter. He says, none of you are the greatest. The greatest is only Krishna. Because from the mountain, what I was seeing is everything that was going and killing everything was Krishna's hand. Arjuna thought he was pulling the bow and his arrow. He was leaving it, but Krishna was delivering and he was doing the entire thing. So Barbaric could see that because he had a vantage point by sitting at a height and he was seeing everything what was happening below. He said, all of you did nothing. Everything was done orchestrated by Krishna himself. And do you think you really, would have been able to win this war without Krishna being on your side? So it was a complete Leela he had created. So Barbaric again is like Rahu because, so understand that Rohini Nakshatra, Rahu is favorable because Rahu gets exalted in the second and the third pada of Rohini Nakshatra in the Navamsha.
They are the cause of fights sometimes.
Exactly.
Will be.
Okay.
See, even
So
story, when Mahabharata war finished and then when Krishna also died, I guess Arjuna went to save, I think, the Dwarka and all, but he was very weak. And Arjuna was thinking, what happened? I defeated the whole Kauravas, I won the Mahabharata war. But now what happened? I am not. I got defeated by Yadava clan. Yadava clan defeated Arjuna. Uh, Am I so weak? And then he said that it was not his power. It was Krishna's power when he was there. He could, but now he's gone. So his power also is no use now, basically. So that was, yeah.
That is the reality of life. If you have God on your side, then you don't need anybody.
So are we really teaching astrology? No. Is Krishna
That's
teaching?
what I'm saying. Ultimately, the realization is, astrology is only a path. It's a jnana marg. Like everybody has a path. Bhakti marg is also there. Through bhakti, you can also reach God. You can karma. Yogis are there who do karmas. This is another path also through jnana, through knowledge. Ultimately, you'll realize this is all nothing. This is all a God's play. We are only puppets here. That is the ultimate realization. So we teach, we come here, but eventually we know that there is a divine force which is there, which is doing all of that. It is putting actors around us as well, isn't it? With some script which is given to them. They will play their script to their T. Ultimately, we are the hero or the heroine or the actor in the entire story. We have to play our thing because we have willpower to change things, but we cannot change the actors that have been provided to us. And the script that is already given to them is they'll play their script as they have to say the drama. You can probably change your dialogues, they will not change their dialogues.
So when you go to class, I always feel who is the teacher? Myself, but again, it's the divine. Whom I am teaching is again students, but they are also divine.
Divine, exactly.
So divine teaching another divine, and it's like what's going on. But so you get a different view when you think about those in the classroom. When I see God is teaching, God is learning, God is doing. It's not God, whatever you can say, God.
See,
whatever.
the beauty of thing is Krishna, do you know, he never went to school. The only school he went to when he was 15 or 16 years, to the ashram of Rishi Sandipani. That is where he learned formally.
Yeah,
Can
that's
you
correct.
imagine? Till about 15, 16 years, he was like a Gopala. Gopala means a cowherd. All his play, everything is, but he never went to a school properly to learn. Today we want to go to bigger schools, universities to learn, but he never learned. But didn't he become the greatest emperor? He created an entire Yadava clan. He created a Dwaraka city, which is still there. The ruins of Dwaraka is still there. That is there to be seen by archaeologists. It is
Yeah, I
not
think
a fiction.
the Scorpio sign outside, opposite to Taurus, that's where it should be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the same thing that you can also see in other civilizations as well. Have you heard of Mithrism? Mitra is not, see, Mitra is what? The lord of Anuradha Nakshatra, which is sitting in opposite to Scorpio. Have you seen the Mitra of the Greek and the Romans? He's slaying a bull, the Torah. Because bull is opposite, right? Taurus is opposite. Mitra is sitting here. Then his worship became very important in, even in Persia. Zoroastrianism, they also have Mitra as a deity. They consider him as a solar deity. So Mitra is slaying the bull. And who is watching? If you see the picture, you will see sun and moon are watching this. So everything is interwoven. If you understand astrology, astronomy, and cosmology, ultimately you're trying to say everything is what is known to the ancients and everything is embedded inside. There are greater learnings that we can do. So I always repeat, astrology is not a science of just predictions. It is a science of understanding the patterns that have emerged from historical figures and history repeats and trying to be more aware. And it's a science of self-correction. It's a science of self-improvement. is a science of self-realization. But we have made it a science of remedies, and we have made it a science of predictions.
And
Predictions
money.
can also be, yes, exactly. Okay, did Krishna wear gemstones? He had the Shamantakamani, but that brought him disrespect as well. What is Shamantakamani? It's called the philosopher's stone.
Right, philosopher's stone. That's interesting. Yeah, true.
Okay. Anyway, but I think it was great discussion, and whenever I get together with you, it's always a joy to be discussing, because you bring in so many new perspectives, and I am here also listening, and I'm absorbing, and I'm also making notes, because you know what, more minds sit together, discuss. It is not about just one single thing. You always add more value through such discussions. I know if somebody has come to the end of this video, they will, I would want to say that you can be given a Nobel Prize, because every video, if you
An
come
award,
to the
yes.
end, some nuggets of information come in the end. That's why I say, see, pearls are not floating on the ocean. You have to dive deep inside the ocean. And when you go to the depth of the oceans, where you get the oysters and the pearls. So sometimes when you come to this level of depth with us, I'm sure that there would be something more that you would learn from these sort of discussions. And sometimes we have deviations. Look, Santhip had asked me talk about what was that? Daksha
Daksha,
Prajapati. From where I went to where, I don't even know where I started and where I ended. And then you had to bring me back and say, oh, Dr. Pai, please talk about this story. Then yeah.
Dr. Pai, what do you think? The series is going from 20. I still remember from 2017 March or April. Now it is 2024. It's almost more than 7 years now.
See, I'll tell you one thing. This nakshatras, as I mentioned, these are the seeds of our karmas which are sitting in these nakshatras. It is like reading Bhagavad Gita or reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Every time you read it after a few years, or autobiography of a yogi, because we have experienced so much, there is experiential learning, there are so many things that we do in our practice, in our day-to-day life. It is enriching us. And what we do is not trying to give exactly what, but we are giving them a broader platter or spectrum of things that you can look through the nakshatras. Because these are the kaleidoscopes. These are the prism through which, and the prism will not give you just one light. It will spread it into multiple layers of light. And whoever is ready to absorb this light, you will see 1 year when we discuss, you will see orange light come from this discussion. 1 year you will see blue light coming out of it. 1 year you will see green light coming out of it. Vibjoy, violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. There are different flavors. It is not that we can even probably we continue this for the end of our life till we are surviving. I think every year we can bring in new and new concepts. And what will happen is the idea that I feel, whatever these discussions are happening, one day we'll all die and we will incarnate and come. Hopefully, we will be able to watch our own videos maybe in a future incarnation, and we will say, oh, wow, this is great information which is being. So it is for us to leave behind a legacy so that we will not have to start again from fresh. So these videos, as long as YouTube is there, I think these videos will be there freely available for everybody to watch. And maybe hopefully in our next incarnation also we'll be watching these videos.
Yeah.
And we know much of this information that we come, and like I said, we believe it is our information. No, the knowledge doesn't belong to us. That is why it is a divine medium through which we are channeling all of this. So it is Krishna. Ultimately, it is Krishna, his own thing. Probably if Krishna wishes, probably we'll continue doing these series till the rest of our life. Who knows? We all seek the guidance from the higher divine power. What information has to flow from us? It's not ours. As he said, knowledge, our back should bend at the information that is there. Anyway, I think we have talked a lot, philosophical, you digress so much. But how are we doing with the time, Aditya, today? Have you
about-
broken our records?
Yeah,
streak?
3 hours, 20 minutes, maybe. I guess something.
That's not bad. Average.
Yeah,
If you had EFG, then probably we could have broken all
Yeah.
records for sure.
yeah.
So we are missing her anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
Right.
so I think this was great. So I think we had a great discussion. So now that Jupiter is in Rohini, clearly that's playing out. I think probably at least we'll try to match up Jupiter's transit actually. When Jupiter enters in Mrgashira, we will try to make him Mrgashira
But
video.
let's make before that, at least get it done,
Yeah, sure, yeah. So at least we'll try that. We'll try as soon as possible
Because
anyway.
I was just seeing that in this year we have, because last Kritika we made in December and now
Yeah.
it is almost June. So at least we should make at least 3-4 nakshatras a year at least.
Yeah, definitely.
We have
We'll try.
Mrigashira, we have Ardra, we have Punarvasu, we have Pushya,
Yeah,
we have Magha then. Ashlesha we have done. So still 4-5
Yeah.
nakshatras remaining.
I think Purvafalguni is missing, right? That's what you said also, right?
No,
Magha is missing.
Magha is missing.
Okay, great. So we'll see what happens. Anyway. But anyway, thank you, Dr. Pai. Thank you, Aditya.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Thanks.
everyone, for being patient also. All the best to you also. Great. Namaste.